welcome back to the Press Start Podcast. I'm your host Vic, aka MrNeverChillin, and this is episode number 34. And of course, I'm joined by my amazing co-host, Lunatic Oblivion,
Hey guys, how you doing today?
and of course we actually got a special guest this week, and returning member from the Chill Zone community, Lunatic Yoshi.
Hello, hello.
So, Josh, how you been, man?
Pretty decent. I've been playing some Battle for Westnock lately, and some still are. So,
Oh, okay, gotcha. That's what's up, man. What about you, Roger? What you been playing lately?
So I ended up playing some Trials of Mana, the collection for the Switch. It's a throwback game from the 90s. It's originally called Final Fantasy Adventure, which then became its own series called Trials of Mana. I just beat that. If some people were watching in the community on Discord, I posted that yesterday that I beat that, and then I started playing Ghost of Tsushima's DLC because in the middle of the main quest you can kind of veer off and actually follow a side mission which takes you to a whole nother island. So I was playing that. I'm about finished with the side missions before I loop back into the main game again. Other than that, Valorant new season's been different. That's what I can say about it. Different.
Yeah, that's an understatement. And obviously, that's been one of the games that I've been playing a lot lately. And I feel like with the new season, everything is a lot more fast paced because I feel like when that new champion is in the game, you have to play at a much faster pace. Like it almost it controls the tempo of the game, which is interesting because like when she dies, the game goes back down. But when she's alive, you're just like whether it's on your team or not, you just like because when she's on your team, you could take sites like that instantly. But like it's definitely been a lot of fun for sure. But other than Valorant, man, I've been playing a lot of Halo still. I'm trying to beat Halo Infinite, and boy, the story just keeps getting better and better
Yeah,
and better. And it's
it's
pulling
very good.
strings. It's pulling strings on my heart from previous games, and I'm just like, like I just want to like shed a tear, and I'm just like, yo, I cannot wait to see how this like unfolds and ends. Honestly, I'm super excited. Josh, have you checked out Halo Infinite yet?
no, I actually know almost next to nothing about it, or Halo 5 Guardians. So,
Oh no.
why don't you, uh, I am a Halo fan though, I think. I used to play a lot of Halo games with you guys when I was younger, so I just kind of fallen off. Yeah, why don't you, the last game I played was Halo 4.
Yeah,
So,
so this game is definitely a lot better. Honestly, our community's heard us talk about it over and over again, and honestly, I ate my words in this. Halo 5 was a disaster. But it's crucial in leading into what Halo Infinite is. It's essentially it's a redemption arc for Master Chief, it almost feels like. He feels as though he's made past mistakes and now it's his time to redeem himself. He blames himself for the state in which the world is. And this thing that's always been talked about, the forerunners, we're
yeah,
kind of getting a taste who they really are. So Halo Infinite's pretty awesome in my opinion. The multiplayer was fun. It kind of takes a step back away from where we were between Reach, Halo 4 with equipment and non-grenade slot items. So it really changed the tempo of the game, but I think Halo Infinite has done a good job of actually being competitive, being a very competitive, fun
I
game.
guess, yeah, like kind of standing on its own.
Yeah, I honestly could see this becoming an amazing game. I don't think it's game of the year level, but it's definitely a good game.
Right. It's
Hmm.
definitely towards the top tier for sure, and it's really interesting to see that this is going to be a platform for Halo for the next foreseeable future. That's why one of the reasons why they went with Infinite. This is supposed to be a soft reboot to the series, but it kind of continued the story of all the previous games, obviously that
Hmm.
led up to this. But it's like you don't have to play the originals, any of the ones before it, to play this one. It's just there's a lot of shit that they nod to that if you played them, you know the lore, you know what's going on and the reason to it. You have more emotional connection to a lot of the characters. So, but to say the least, though, that was a lot of fun though playing Halo. But let's get into our topics this week, man. We got a decent amount of games releasing over this next week. We'll start off here with Shadow Man Remastered. It's coming to the Switch on January 17th. Roger, does this game interest you at all?
No, it's not a game that I ever played. It's actually from the N64. It's something that really honestly, if you were looking for kind of that nostalgia wave, if you've ever played this game on the N64, then yeah, it's awesome. It's cool to see that Nintendo's trying to bring back more of their classic catalog that we haven't seen, you know, for years and years because Nintendo is famous for not rebooting their games.
Right, and I love the preservation of games, and we talk about it all the time. And just think it's just another one of those. All right, let's carry it over to the next gen because this was on the 64, and then it was brought to the Dreamcast as well, and then I think it was on Xbox One and the PlayStation 4s, and then now it's coming to the Switch. So it's been carried along. So it's been a game not left behind. Josh, did you play this at all back in the day on the 64?
No,
No, yeah,
I
I
don't.
don't think so. I did either.
Yeah, no.
This is one of those games that was rated M. So, during the time when we had an
Yeah,
N64, the likelihood of us probably playing it was rather low.
that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, a hundred
So,
percent. But another one that's coming out is Nobody Saves the World. This one's coming to Xbox Series S and X, Xbox One, and the PC on January 18th. So just here in a couple of days. I know this game has interested Roger here on the panel. What interests you about this game?
so I'm a huge Final Fantasy fan, and this game to me is essentially it's like Legend of Zelda meets Final Fantasy. It's the dungeon fighting game that you would expect from a Legend of Zelda style game, but it's built like a traditional Final Fantasy where your character works through instead of a talent tree, you've got a tree of classes. So you build up, you start with one class. Okay, I'm gonna master, say, a swordsman. Well, after I've mastered the swordsman, now my skill in swords will carry over into another class. For example, I can mash my skills from swordsman to that of a black mage and make a red mage. So it's really it's about building your character, and it's a co-op game as well, which is really fascinating to me. So it's a dungeon crawling co-op game where you actually get to kind of build your character through a talent tree. So like instead of the traditional classes though, you play stuff like horse or slug or dragon, and like you play a bunch of different silly classes that they've made up. And it looks really fascinating to me because it's not something I've seen.
Hmm.
It seems like a new, unique twist on things we've seen before. And with the mastery of previous classes, you can build those abilities into new classes.
Hmm.
So, your time as a slug actually helps you later on leave behind maybe a poison trail or things like that.
Hmm. And interesting enough, this is being made by a pretty good reputable studio, Drinkbox Studios. They previously are known for like Guacamole Melee. That was a really fun like fighting unique game. They put a twist on the fighting genre, and I know it was a lot of fun. I remember picking that game up for free on Xbox Games with Gold the one time, and I checked it out. It was just one of those fun games to just play for a little bit and move on. It's a nice game to play. Does this game interest you at all, Josh? Because I know you're big into. I appreciate the host,
Yeah,
JD.
I highly admire indie games, and I really like this game's art style. It's different, so
Hmm.
it's not something I see a lot in games that I play or see like game news for. So, um,
Mhm.
I really look forward to seeing it in action. Maybe watch a stream on it or something
Hmm.
because it
Fair
looks
enough.
good. So,
Yeah, so maybe you'll be interested in checking out Roger's stream of it. I'm sure he'll maybe this will be a game he can stream.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But another one that's coming out this week here is River City Girls. This is coming to the PS5 on January 18th as well. Um, does this one interest in anybody? Because I'm not. It's not really shining to me at all.
And it essentially feels like a Mutant Ninja Turtles, something we're going to talk about later here. It kind of feels like that side-scrolling fighter game from back in the day, an arcade fighter
Hmm.
game. To me, it's not something I'd want to be playing on my PS5. It's something I maybe play on like the Switch or one of my party consoles. And this game is actually getting soft relaunched on a new console,
Right.
whereas the original is actually on the Switch from 2019. and the next edition of the game actually comes out this summer. So the second one in the series is actually being released. So this is kind of a hype people back up for the series.
Hmm. Yeah, that makes sense because it's right now. It's on the Switch, PS4, Xbox One, and Microsoft Windows as of 2019, and then it came to Amazon Luna in 2020, and now PS5 coming out here soon for the PS5. So that's pretty cool. And then I didn't know that the second game is coming out or it's in development currently, but that's interesting. It's a good way to hype it up because PS5 is the one of the biggest gaming audiences right now, obviously outside of PC, but for the consoles and stuff. So it's pretty cool though.
No, I agree.
Another game that's coming out here is Expeditions Rome. It's coming to PC on January 20th. I guess this is the third game in Expedition series. This installment, I'm reading it from their website here. The player will control a young legatus, which is a military officer in a rank comparable to modern day generals. It's just during like the Julius Caesar time and whatnot, obviously given hence the name Rome. Does this game interest you at all, Roger?
So I'm a big fan of traditional RPGs, but for me this I don't know if I'm gonna want to put the money forward to buy a game like this because it's not by a studio that I like. Yeah, I get it's THQ Nordic and stuff like that, but it's not something that it kind of flew on the radar for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it looks interesting, but like it's a risky purchase. It's about $36. It's not a full price game. It's a $45 game on sale right now for pre-purchase. I don't know. And honestly, I've got so many other games. It doesn't pique my interest
Right.
compared to the other ones out currently.
Right, and hopefully everyone stays around because we are going to go over all the 2022 games and rank them on how excited we are for them. So, but yeah, I'm with you. I'm not really too excited for this kind of game. What about you, Josh? Any excitement regarding Expeditions Rome?
I like games that discuss history.
Hmm.
However, I'm not sure if I'd be too interested in this type of game. So,
Right,
Mhm.
right. Yeah, I think it'll probably be just one of those underrated games that doesn't get too much love, but it's there for people who enjoy those kind of games for sure. But another game here, because we do got to get through a couple of these before we get to the news. Paparazzi, this is coming to Series X and S, Xbox One, PC on January 20th. Not much to really say on this one. It's kind of like Pokemon Snap, but for dogs. So anybody who's a pet lover or a dog lover and likes taking photos, this game's for you. But not for me. I haven't even played Pokemon Snap yet, the new one, so I don't see myself picking this game up at all. What about you guys? Anybody? Any comments on this one?
It
I think it looks cute and silly. So there's a certain type of person that would probably love this type of game.
it's a
But for me,
casual game.
Hmm.
yeah, I'd probably play Pokemon Snap because fan of I'm a big fan of Pokemon. So
Right, yeah, same here.
Yeah.
And
And honestly, Snap was a really good game last year, and
mhm.
so
but I don't mean to put anybody down and their interests down by saying that though. It's
yeah.
just not the type of game that now my mother would probably love a game like that.
Yeah, it feels like it's for the casual audience, something maybe Jordan or, our relatives would play. Something that's not really a mainstream gamer game.
Right,
Something accessible to a wider audience of people. So
exactly. And then moving on to the big game that's coming out this week that I've been looking forward to for a while now is Rainbow Six Extraction. It's a game that's coming to PS4, PS5, Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, Stadia, and PC on January 20th. And obviously, it's coming to Game Pass, as we talked about last week. Super stoked for this game. I can't wait to stream this. I'm super excited. Roger, what about you?
I'm excited. Um, it's just I don't. I've got so many things going on, and it's a heavy co-op game. Like I
Hmm.
don't want to be playing with randos. Don't want to be playing alone.
Hmm.
For it being on Game Pass, I'm actually excited. I'm very excited for a free game like this. It's a AAA game, and it's a Rainbow Six game, so I'm excited. Hopefully, we see, some quality gameplay, and we don't get the kind of launch we got from Rainbow Six Siege.
Right, right. Yeah, hopefully they learn their lesson with Siege and they come out with this one and just hit the ground running. And I think that they have that kind of I'm pretty sure it will because they tested this kind of game out in an event In Siege. I forget what it was called, but it was like the alien survival co-op mode that they implemented in Siege. So I'm hoping that they have enough work with this where they're like, all right, cool, we got this, and hopefully it's not your typical Ubisoft money grab because it has Tom Clancy attached to it, and run with it. You know what I mean? So I'm hoping for a good
Yeah.
quality co-op game because, as everyone knows, we're gonna start doing co-op streams over the next this year. So this is just gonna be another game that we play. But moving on here to another one, Windjammers 2. Windjammers 2 comes to the PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Switch, Stadia, and PC. Of course, January 20th as well. This is an upcoming sports game of some sorts. I don't really have no idea to really talk about much to it, but it's a top-down perspective, like similar to ice hockey, but you shoot a frisbee. So it has a different concept. So maybe it's just one of those party fun games you check out real quick and maybe not play again. Does this pique you guys' interest? I know you guys aren't big sports folks.
This kind of reminds me of Mario Tennis, but it's Mario Tennis meets like classic traditional art styles, or game uh, top-down game fighting looks.
Right.
So to me, it's not something I'm gonna spend a lot of time playing. Most likely, it's something I'm probably not even gonna pick up because it's on the Switch. It's mostly looks like a Switch game to me.
Yeah.
It looks like a spin-off of some other game to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it has
Well,
that similar art style.
Well,
Yeah.
to give you an idea, this game is actually originally is Windjammers. The original game is from 1994,
Yeah.
and
It's
it was made for it did get re-released on the Switch, but it was an arcade game as well as on the Neo Geo console.
it's been a long time since that's been around. But two more here. Baby Storm is coming out to Switch on January 21st. Um, I can't even describe this. This looks like a Fall Guys party-like game, running around doing some crazy wacko shit. It has local multiplayer, solo, or of some sorts. I don't know how you play this solo. Four players. You guys have any thoughts on this one? I'm pretty lost
It
for
looks
words on
so, I don't know what to say about it. Like,
it. It's just an indie arcade game, so
yeah,
it's pretty cool to see the different games that come up from the indie developers. So it's pretty cool. It looks legit.
For a $20 price tag, it's like one of those things. It almost reminds me of Gang Beasts or like Overcooked or things like that.
Right, yeah, for sure. And last but not least, here we got Mousecraft coming to Xbox One January 21st. It's an adventure indie 3D video game developed by a Poland-based game studio. There's not much to
Hmm.
really go by here. It doesn't really have much information, but it's coming out. So it's just another indie developed game that you guys can check out. We like to put some spotlights on some indie games that do release throughout the week as well. But without further ado, let's get into some of our more meatier topics here. Let's get into our gaming news and rumors. Start off with a big one here. Hitman. Anybody who loves the Hitman franchise got some good news this week. Hitman 3 Year 2 support is coming. It's coming out with new maps, new storyline, new modes, and apparently new ways to play that they didn't really detail too much. But was Hitman a game that you guys were interested in playing at all? Because I know this was actually one of the best games of last year.
Honestly, Hitman 3 didn't interest me because it looked so bad at a lot of times. It was very goofy, but Hitman was never a series that I personally played, and for me to go out of my way to buy the game didn't really pique my interest.
Right. Anything from you, Josh?
I believe I've seen some Hitman streams from Rooster Teeth. I don't remember a lot from it,
Mm-hmm.
so that's just about it for that.
Gotcha. And then with more news though, Hitman Trilogy was announced, which is including obviously Hitman 1, 2, and 3. It's coming out January 20th. It's coming to the PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series X and S, Epic Game Store, and Steam. But last but not least, this trilogy is coming to Game Pass. So if that's a game that you didn't want to pick up, didn't want to spend the $50, $60 on, here's a way to check it out for free. It was, like I said, one of the best games of last year. It was in talks for early game of the year early. Obviously, it fell off with all the really great games that we got later in the year. But it's
Yeah,
definitely a game that definitely want to check out. If you enjoy the assassination, how can I complete this mission different than last time? Like, how can I do it quicker? There's a bunch of different ways of playing this game. It's definitely a lot of fun to check out for sure. But
yeah.
moving on, big topic here this week here is Take-Two Interactive. So the developers behind Rockstar's games with like GTA and Red Dead has bought out Zynga, which people may not know, but this is the developer behind like Farmville and all those mobile games. They spent a lot of money on this. Is this what Take Two needed, Roger?
So this is a weird thought to me. Like, what is the point behind Zynga's purchase by Take-Two Interactive? Because Take-Two right now, we're kind of looking at their games coming out from 2K, Private Division, and Rockstar. Rockstar's been quiet. We haven't seen anything from them in a while. 2K, we're getting Tina's Tiny Wonderland or Tiny Tina's Wonderland. We've got Civilization, Borderlands 3. We've got all these games that come out of this studio, but none of it's mobile. None of it's web-based games. We're
Right.
we're at a point here where why are they buying a studio that is infamous for things like Farmville, this game that our mothers and aunts
Everybody.
and everyone was addicted to back in 2010.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, Take Two just spent over $11 billion on buying Zynga. This is the biggest purchase in the gaming industry history. Like this breaks even Xbox or Microsoft games buying out Bethesda. That's it blows my mind because like you said, they're known for Farmville. They're not really known for much else. Like they have Farmville, they have some poker and card games, and I guess Words with Friends, and I think they have that Star Wars Hunters game that's coming to Switch soon. And so it's just like I think their purpose behind this was maybe Take Two didn't have access to the mobile market as much as they want to, and this is their way to get in. Now they bought a studio who's already there at mobile market. Now they can start releasing their IPs that they have in a mobile form. I'm sure they could release the GTA remastered trilogy on your iPhone if they really want to. Like it would support it. It could easily run on that, and people would play it. People would honestly pick it up because how big is the mobile market? One of the biggest in
Yeah,
the world. So it makes
True.
sense. It makes
Yeah.
it from a business standpoint. It makes sense. If you're not in the mobile market, how do you get in? You buy the biggest mobile game maker there, like one of
but
them.
like what's interesting here is Zynga's Danga's not worth that much. Their worth is only $1.97 billion. So we're looking at a studio that is worth some money, but like to pay that much that they've paid, they must have some real plans here going on because like
Yeah.
yeah, that's their revenue, but that's not their profit. So now they've got to recoup the money they just bought the studio for. What are their plans?
Yeah.
That's really honestly where we're at right now. Where are they
Well,
going with this?
for one thing, I think that we might see a Farmville-like minigame in the next GTA release. Maybe.
That'd be
They're
interesting to
like
see.
little internet equivalents, so who knows?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. When that broke, I was like, "There's no way that this is real." Like, I wasn't like this isn't what we were expecting because we were talking about how Rockstar's been stagnant. Like, we haven't really seen much from there, and I think this is where that they can get pushed into a different realm and hopefully get some good content or good games coming out.
Honestly, this is the death of not Take Two, but like remember Rockstar's owned by Take Two. So it's
Right,
not like, Rockstar is their only studio.
right.
Their independent developers made things like Hades, Kerbal Space Program. So uh, but then again, they also make 2K, and how good has 2K been?
It's been awful, but that's a microtransaction heaven for them. They're making tons of money from microtransactions.
Money
So
gun money. Yeah, no. So it's not going to hurt them whether or not this succeeds. I think they're going to do just fine. I think it's just a weird acquisition in my opinion.
I forgot that they had parts in Hades, so maybe they can bring Hades to mobile now, which is a great game
Maybe.
that you could see. Civilization would be an interesting game to see mobile.
Well,
Um,
we already had a mobile version of Civilization, but it was like they had tried to bring it to mobile devices as in like smaller game consoles, mobile game consoles.
right. Yeah, so like you said, they gotta have something planned because you don't spend $11 billion to not have a big enough splash where you're gonna make a lot of money back. Hey, appreciate the host
Exactly.
smoke. Appreciate it, dog. But moving along here to another news, Assassin's Creed: The Ezio Collection, which consists of Assassin's Creed 2, Brotherhood, and Revelation was announced for the Switch. It's already out for other consoles for February 17th, 2022. It's a $40 game. It's a way to revisit these classic games and experience Izio's games, and it's probably one of the best of the series. Is this something that you guys will pick up on the Switch at all, or recommend to people?
Never. Why? Why would I ever do this?
Would you recommend it to people who have not played that collection? Any of those games?
Just get the games another way, honestly. Why pay $40 to play them on the Switch of all consoles? Let's be honest here. Honestly, the Switch, I don't want to buy mainstream games on the Switch. I want to buy Switch games on the Switch.
Switch
You know,
exclusives on the Switch.
this is not going to make the Switch any more competitive as a console. This honestly is backwards thinking to me. But
we gotta get to all gamers.
Yeah. I'd like to say that still, though, on the other hand, it's a whole collection of Assassin's Creed games that, you know, for people that want to get into the franchise but never, you know, got their chance buying the individual games themselves, this will be their chance, I'm thinking.
that's fair.
Right.
So-
I agree.
And play them at a higher fidelity. They're going to look a lot more crisp and more enjoyable than. I mean, you figure Assassin's Creed 2 came out when? 09, I think. It's been a long time since those came out. But moving on, though, a couple more news topics before we get into our tier list. Call of Duty Vanguard Zombies, an update. It actually came out the other day on the 12th. But survival mode came to Shinonuma. Yay, like, why wasn't it there at launch? And in the story, quest and Easter egg is came as well, so you can get out there and start doing that. Is it time to get Vanguard Zombies yet, Roger?
No. I ain't gonna buy that game unless it's on super sale. $20. I'll give you $20 for it, and it has to have 2 zombie maps. The fact that this piece of garbage. Oh, I'm so mad. I'm just.
Call of Duty
I cannot describe.
struggling big time right now. Between Warzone struggling, their multiplayer struggling, and they actually are thinking about making the 2022's Call of Duty come out sooner than normal because of how bad Vanguard has been.
Well, and this the reason why they find no repercussion for how bad this all is because of fanboys like you who buy the game no matter what.
Yeah, and I haven't played it since. They're not getting any microtransaction out of me.
Well, that's fine. You still paid $60 for the game.
Yeah, fair enough.
So
I mean, because I buy it out of hope, out of nostalgia. Like this is like, but the thing is, there's
fanboy.
no competition in the market. Think about it. There's literally no 6v6 multiplayer first-person shooter games that are enjoyable and fun. We play Valorant. That's it.
5v5 and Valorant's awesome. I love Valorant.
But like that's like more of like a tactical shooter. I'm talking about like fast-paced, energetic, like running all over. Like the closest right now would be Splitgate, I guess. Would be the only one, and that's a free-to-play game. So yeah, obviously that would be the choice to go to. I mean,
I'd rather go to Halo.
Yeah, Halo's been fun, but when was the last time we played Halo's multiplayer?
When's the last time we played anything other than Valorant's multiplayer?
Yeah, fair enough. Because there isn't anything out there like that. That
No,
really
well,
makes me
even
wanna
if there
play.
was, and that's the thing. Even if there was, like, the fact that they're not even competing with Valorant right now, it's just they're like, oh, they've cornered the market. It feels like, and it's fanboys unwilling to move on from the game.
Right. Yeah,
So it's not like there's no competition. It's the competition people don't want because they'd rather play Call of Duty.
right, and that's the crazy part. Like, as bad as Call of Duty is, it's still better than everything else on the market. That's the crazy part. Look at it. It's better than Battlefield by far. There's no other game on the market, so it's better than everything else that might come out. So it's just like,
Well, it's not better than everything else that might come out. It's just better than everything on the market right now.
yeah. So
Yeah.
something got to come out and beat it or shake it up. But until then, Call of Duty will reign supreme over the FPS genre.
I mean,
I would have to agree for the most part, though,
mhm.
in my opinion. I
That's fair.
have pretty good memories playing Call of Duty when I was younger, so particularly Modern Warfare
Mm-hmm.
and Black Ops 2. So,
Back when the
Well,
series
and
was great.
from a nostalgia standpoint,
And I'm with you there. I'm 100% with you there that there is nostalgia to be had in Call of Duty's multiplayer. But that doesn't excuse the fact that we're continuing to pay $60 for a game we're not going to play.
It does.
True.
It
Like
does. It
that,
hurts. It hurts.
and
Trust me, it
and
hurts.
all you're doing is paying these developers to continue to say it's okay. You can make garbage as long as you just put the Call of Duty name on it. It could be Call of Duty Turd, and I'll still pay 80 for it to get that extra battle pass.
Yeah, for sure. But moving on here to some more bad news. Stalker 2 was delayed until December 8th, 2022. It was originally supposed to come out in April. I'm sad. I'm really looking forward to this game. This game looks really really great, like uh,
Mhm.
graphically, and the Stalker franchise has a as a cult. Like there's people who follow this game, the original one. It's just been a game that I've really been looking forward to, and I was sad to hear. But hey, we all know the times right now with COVID is still rampart, going rampart, and maybe it's for the better. What y'all think?
Yeah. Honestly, with it being the last game in the Stalker series, what, 2009? I think. So for it to be coming out 13 years later to reboot a franchise, we're looking at it better be a good game.
Right.
So honestly, if you need to push a game back, push the game back. Honestly, it's gonna work out better for you. You're gonna get more accolades. You're gonna be able to sell better. That's my thought. I agree.
Yeah.
I would rather you delay a game and make a better game.
I agree. Yeah. I was gonna say I don't know much about the Stalker franchise. However, I agree with the need, you know, to delay games as necessary if it will make the game better ultimately.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we don't want every game to have the Cyberpunk issues when that game should have
yeah,
been delayed for the eighth time. But moving on to
that
our
was like
last.
a complete nightmare.
Right. Moving on to our last news this week, God of War obviously was recently released for the PC, and it's running phenomenal. It's actually looking better than the PS4 version, and it can even be ran without a graphics card apparently, with the right motherboard, and obviously the CPU is good. Isn't Does this mind blowing to you, Roger? Because you've recently played and beat God of War, and for it to be better and somehow run without a graphics card.
Well, the crazy thing is, while I played God of War, I always felt that the game was smooth. I never had an issue with the game being glitchy or like countering combos, things like that. The animations were always beautiful, well scripted. Everything felt well choreographed, like I was in a movie, because whatever I did, it didn't feel like there was clipping or bad things going on. So I think this is just a product of really good development.
Mm-hmm.
It's people who put the time, the effort in to make sure things run correctly. The graphics card doesn't need to like burn itself up to run the game.
Right. And apparently this port has been in development for over at least 2 years, which was mind blowing to me. I didn't think it was even in that development for that long, and apparently it might have taken longer. But PlayStation was like, "Hey, we need this now. We need this
Yeah.
now," because they realized what Xbox is doing with all their, obviously, every game that Xbox come out is on PC automatically, Game Pass. So they got to have some kind of competition if they're trying to go forth with their whole PC movement. So
Yeah.
they needed this. They needed their best recent game to come to PC.
Yeah, I agree. It looks great, and I'm actually excited for the rest of PlayStation development. Honestly, I think they could be more competitive with bringing their games to the PC quicker than they are now.
Yeah, for sure. But without further ado, let's get into our 22 game excitement tier list. So I'm gonna switch over here, and I don't know if you guys can see it. Can everybody see it on the stream?
No.
Your stream is still running.
Oh boy, let's get this figured out here.
Pop into Discord and it should fix it.
Okay.
There you go.
Now I see it.
Yep, I'm switching it. I gotta switch some stuff around here. Cool. But we're gonna first start off here with
It's still not showing up.
That's weird.
It's because you're streaming the Discord window instead of the actual window from your tier list.
Let me move Discord over. Sorry about this stream. This shit went a lot smoother the last time. Well, we should be good now, right?
I see it now.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, man. So I think we got about like 56, 57 games. So hopefully y'all are stay tuned. There is a lot of games, a lot of great games coming out here. So you guys have any specific one of these games you want to start with at all?
All right, so let's start with Kirby. All right, this is a game that came out of left field for me. To me, this game is S tier. I'm super excited for it. And we lost your video again, but I'm super excited for Kirby. This is a game that we're looking at. We saw it come from, I think it was E3 that we saw the first look, and it had me glued to the screen. I honestly, with Nintendo continuing to delay Metroid Prime, this is a game that I want to see right now. This looked awesome. This kind of gave me that Mario Odyssey vibes. How about you, Josh? Where do you stand on this? Are you excited to see Kirby?
Kirby continues to be one of my most favorite of Nintendo's franchises. So, and I don't think any other franchise will displace that for me. So, I think it's really cool to see what they're doing with the franchise. And this sort of adventure game like Mario Odyssey sort of thing with Kirby, I think it looks really interesting. So I'm excited to see some more like trailers and footage from it and stuff and streams.
I agree, because for the past few years, we've really just seen Kirby games become kind of a party, sort of an engine test, if you will. What can we do with our engine? What can we, what kind of game can we make? Where are we going with this? And I think this is returning to our roots with Kirby, where Kirby went around and beat the shit out of King Dedede and was a side scroller, but then we had like the N64 version, which was that 3D RPG style game. Honestly, this gave me a nostalgia wave while also making me feel hopeful for Nintendo's future. We saw Mario Odyssey, but we haven't seen anything like it since. And this is that game for us, I think.
And also, I'd like to add about Kirby, the last 3D non-side scroller Kirby game I remember playing is Kirby Air Ride for the game.
Yeah, same. Weirdly
that
enough,
was many years ago at this point. So this is I'm really excited for this.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
Yeah, and this game comes out on March 25th, 2022, so it's actually not too far away. But yeah, I definitely agree. I'm looking forward to it, and then we can keep it at S tier. I think that works pretty cool. So we'll see how it ends up at the end of the year for sure. But let's move on here to let's see what any of these games that we can place at the bottom right away.
Cyberpunk. Let's put that at D tier.
I don't think that's at the bottom.
It's a D tier, all right? I'm going to argue till it dies, all right? This game, I'm very, very sad.
I'm talking about the next-gen version that we're getting with all the new updates.
D tier. D.
I will argue that it's
Day one should have been S tier, but it was D. We were promised so much.
We're talking about day one of next-gen.
No. I'm saying we were promised so much. But in the end, what did we get? The fact that we have to relaunch the game should be a huge detriment. If it's not D, I'll give you C, but I will never put it in B.
Yeah, I'm definitely not putting it D because I'm trying to look at this game as a brand new slate. Nothing else happened in the past.
It's already been released. We don't re-releases shouldn't count. Like, that's the thing. This is just like Cyberpunk remastered. Why are we remastering the game after a year? The game should have been great from the beginning. Yeah, S for shit is right, Philipper. Okay, this game should have been garbage tier. The fact that we had to wait this long, the game should have just been delayed again. Honestly, I would have rathered that.
All right, let's move on here to another one. I think we could put Chocobo in like C or D area because this game just looks like it's just a waste of time and money.
Honestly, it feels like a tie over until we get to the next Mario Kart. Honestly, it felt like a Mario Kart clone.
All right.
I thought the Chocobo racing for the PlayStation was fun.
I never played it. I didn't realize there was one.
Never even knew it existed.
Yeah. Ah, okay.
It's cute,
I
though.
see.
It's cute,
I
though.
see. It's the next one in the series, but we're talking like PlayStation from 1999.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Wow. Interesting. I never even knew this existed. So honestly, to me, I'm thinking like this game could have potential because the last Mario Kart is a re-release or a remaster of the previous. So I'm hopeful that maybe this will be a fun replacement for Mario Kart at parties, but that's all it is.
Right. Moving on here. Let's get a game right to the top again. Elden Ring. Super excited. The anticipation is there, and we just really hope it doesn't flop.
Flop. Yeah,
tremendously.
that's all I can hope for at this point. I'm hoping the game is S tier. It just we have so much riding on this game. This is a spiritual successor to the Dark Souls franchise, and less Sekiro and Bloodborne, but more the original Dark Souls.
Right.
So honestly, to me, I'm super excited about this game, and I can only wish for the best.
All right. Let's see here. What's the next game, y'all? What y'all want to do next?
How about you, Yoshi? What are you feeling?
Gran Turismo.
All right,
Gran Turismo. Is this a game you're excited for?
Not really. I remember playing the one for the PlayStation and Gran Turismo A-Spec for the PlayStation 2.
Mhm.
And they're really the only non-kart racing games that I really played a lot of and enjoyed. So,
Honestly, this one, in my opinion, has a lot to stack up to when we come to Horizon. You know, we saw Horizon come out, and honestly, yeah, this game is supposed to be the more track racing oriented, like traditional racing game. But for me, it's just like we just had Horizon, and this game really was the pinnacle of racing games recently. Yeah, it was an open world racing game, and some can say, oh, they're not even in the same
right.
genre of racing game. But to me,
Racing game's a
you've
racing
got realistic and you've got kart, you've got go-kart and an actual racing game. And to me, this is an actual racing game just like Forza is. And I honestly, it has a lot to sit against Horizon.
Right, and from the gameplay that we saw of it, it kind of doesn't even look that good. Like graphically,
Yeah.
it looks like it's a step behind. And the thing is, like Microsoft has already announced Forza Motorsport, their track racing game that's 1,000% comparable to Gran Turismo, and Motorsport looks a billion times better than what Gran Turismo looks like. And we might get Motorsport next year, or even this year. They might shadow release it. It's not even on this list because there's no definitive on when it'll be released. But this game, Gran Turismo 7, looks like it's outdated. Looks like it's a previous generation game that came out late. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna give it a B because this is PlayStation's, I guess, best racing game. But like Roger said, it's a lot to stack up to against Forza Horizon 5, which just blew the water out.
It just doesn't look good behind the wheel. It feels clunky. It feels it's like at times it does look like real life, and then other times it looks very janky. It looks clippy. It looks like it's not smooth. So I'm honestly, it's gonna have to a lot to stack up. It has to have a good soundtrack. The racing has to be fluid, and the cars have to be good. Honestly, I'm gonna leave it at B tier because I'm not hopeful for it. The game looks okay.
And this one comes out March 4th, 2022. And I forgot to tell you guys the release dates for other games. Elden Ring comes out February 25th. And Chocobo GP comes out. I don't think they even have a release date, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I believe they do.
March 10th, 2022. So March is definitely a pretty stacked year, for sure. I don't think we got a definitive release date for Cyberpunks, but it's supposed to be the first quarter of 2022. So kind of wait and see on that one. But Roger, what's the next one that you want to talk about here?
All right, multiverse. We're gonna put D tier right now. Okay. I'm getting really tired of these battle royale games, and everyone's like, "We gotta come up with a battle royale game with a new, completely new
Well, this isn't a
idea."
battle royale
But it has
game.
to be. Yeah, it is.
It's a Smash game, Smash clone.
Oh, sorry. Yes, you're right. Multiverse is the one. I'm thinking of the fighting one where you drop in.
Yeah, Multiverses is like a Smash clone.
Yeah.
or
That's the
Nickelodeon.
WB Smash clone.
Yep, Pretty much.
Yeah,
I know
and
JD has played
honestly,
it, and he's been enjoying it. He can't really talk too much because he had to sign
an
not
NDA.
yeah NDA.
Yeah,
But overall, like I don't know how to feel about it. I just feel like we don't need these games. They're just trying to just I don't know. They saw Nickelodeon do it, so they're like, oh, we're gonna do it. We have a nice
yeah, but
catalog of characters.
Nickelodeon sucked.
Right.
And let's be honest here, everyone's trying to capitalize on their multiverse where you have all your different, content you make. And it's just like, I just wish that we had better, better world building. Everyone's like trying to capitalize on the idea that everyone loves world building, but you make a garbage world and you're like, yeah, Shaggy's in the same universe as Batman. He is, but only in like casual Batman comics like Scooby-Doo and Batman,
Right.
not,
So
beating shit up. It's, I don't know.
it's a
I'm
bit
just a
goofy.
little disappointed that this is where WB needs to put more of their effort, I guess.
Right. But I mean, one good thing about multiverses over, I guess, Nickelodeon is they're actually getting like some good quality voice actors. Like, apparently they're getting
Mhm.
like the real voice actor who did the live action version of Scooby or Shaggy from Scooby Doo. So like, that's pretty cool that they're at least trying. Unlike Nickelodeon, Nickelodeon was like, yeah, we're just gonna pick whoever that sounds cool. I guess like they don't do anybody that sounds alike. But moving on here though, another WB game that I want to talk about that I'm excited for. I'm gonna throw an A tier is Gotham Knights. I think this game looks really good from what we got so far, and I'm really excited. This is gonna be a four-player co-op game, and Batman has died. This goes down that storyline of whether he's dead or not, and you get to play as the four sidekicks that he has had. So I'm really excited for
Well,
this.
he's had more than
Why?
four sidekicks, but this is the four main sidekicks of the Batman universe right now. We're looking at Batgirl. I'm not Batwoman, Batgirl, Nightwing, which is the original Robin who goes on to do his own thing with the Teen Titans and Titans. We've got Robin, and then we've got Red Hood. So these are four people that were trained by Batman. So I'm excited because these are characters that are currently pretty big in the actual DC comics. So for me, as somebody who loves reading DC comics, I'm excited for a game like this. I'm gonna go around playing Nightwing all day.
Right, yeah. I don't really do much in the DC world. Like, I don't read no comics, don't really watch movies. But this game, when it was announced, I was like, ooh, this might be my chance to actually thoroughly enjoy something that's DC related. So I'm really excited for this to come out. There's no specific release date, just says 2022. Same thing for Multiverses. There's no specific date, just says 2022. Josh, are you interested in this game at all?
I'm not really a DC or nor Batman fan, unfortunately, but I've watched some movies, so that's mostly what I remember. I don't
Mhm.
recognize any of these characters, but it does look pretty interesting from what I can tell, though.
Mm-hmm.
A 3D, realistic looking game, and I like the visuals in it. So,
Honestly, I'm with you there, Josh. The graphics, the visuals of this game are just gorgeous. Like we've seen a few Batman games in the past recent years,
Mm-hmm.
and they've been good.
Right,
They've
they've been really
actually
solid.
been very good. They've pushed computers to their limits. It's awesome.
Yeah, they're actually one of the best games in recent years. The Batman Arkham series has
Hmm.
been one of the best games. So this apparently fits into that same timeline. Like apparently it's part of that unit, that specific timeline. So it'll be pretty cool to see how this all unfolds, and I'm really excited for it. Josh, what's the next one we're going to talk about here?
Splatoon 3.
Okay,
Do you think it's A-list?
I would say it's between A or B. That's just
Hmm.
me. I don't really play much of them. I just know it's one of their great competitive games on the Switch. I know Roger is a huge fan of the Splatoon franchise, and I know he's looking forward to it. I don't think it's considered S tier just because like there's the first two games didn't have that pedestal for it to be there to be game of the year worthy. But I think it's going to be one of those really enjoyable games. What about you, Roger?
So I've always liked Splatoon. I've only got introduced to the series at Splatoon 2.
Mm-hmm.
It was a fun game, but by the time I got to the multiplayer, it was a dead community and it was very try-hardy and toxic. So for me, it was hard to get into, and I'm excited to actually try Splatoon multiplayer because I've only heard good things about it from my friends. So for me, I'm gonna put this game in A tier. It looks interesting. The story is there because that's something Splatoon was not known for. Their story in the last game wasn't very good, and there wasn't story in the first game because Splatoon wasn't meant to be a story game. But now they're introducing a story to kind of really build Splatoon because the community likes it. And so I'm excited to see what they want to do. You know, it feels like a soft reboot for what Splatoon as a game is to be.
Right. And if
It's
people don't know, like Splatoon is like a post-apocalyptic game, but like you wouldn't be able to fucking tell without how colorful and vibrant and up tempo and looks happy and joyful kind of game. Like it's just kind of dark in a way, but it just does it in a nice, touching Nintendo way. You know what I mean?
yeah, exactly.
but
So, next game on the list. I'm gonna go with let's put Final Fantasy VII on there. All right. So this isn't the second edition of the second installment of Final Fantasy VII, but this is the re-release of Final Fantasy VII's Intergrade remake. So with Final Fantasy VII Intergrade, this is just a re-release for PC, I believe, is one of the consoles that it's coming to. Um, it
this is not the game that we're talking about here.
oh, which one are you?
This is Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis. It's a collection of
Oh, okay, okay, yeah.
the additional games that came out around Final Fantasy VII. Like there was a game on the
Oh,
phone,
okay, yeah.
the one PlayStation something. It was just like those side games that people just probably missed out
Yeah,
on. But it just
like
helped fill in the
X2
story.
and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah, sorry, I couldn't tell by the logo you had
Yeah,
there.
it was tough. That's the only thing that they have right now because it's such a game that's still kind of early.
Yeah. So for me, this game isn't exciting to me, mostly because all the stuff around Final Fantasy VII, it just it isn't Final Fantasy VII.
Hmm.
So now we're playing all these side games, that are supposed to help build a world or just like, soft releases of the game to help continue build upon the nostalgia or the hype that the game had. So I don't know. It looks okay, but it's probably not something I want to play. I would rather finally get the second installment of Final Fantasy VII, the remake, that is. I would prefer to see on PS5 Final Fantasy VII, the second part,
Right.
because the first game for the remake was only like the first third or fourth of the story.
Right. Yeah, they put a lot of effort in the Final Fantasy VII, and I think when it's all said and done, like you're gonna have a masterpiece. That's what I really think.
Yeah, honestly, and I'm sad to hear that a lot of people didn't like the remakes, but for me personally, I loved the remakes. So maybe this game may be worth it, maybe not. So we'll have to see.
Right. Let's see here. What other game that I want to talk about? Let's just go right to Starfield. Starfield, I think, is going to be one of those really hyped games. My excitement and anticipation for this game is really high. That's why I'm throwing it on S tier. This game, if it goes the way it should, this could be game of the year, one of the game of the years in many categories. So it's just a wait and see. It's coming from Bethesda's main studio, their first new IP in over 25 years, and the way Skyrim was successful, Fallout was successful with the exception of 76.
And Fallout 4, honestly,
I
there was a
really
lot
enjoyed
of.
4. That's the crazy
I
part.
mean, but did you play 3?
No, that's the crazy part. I've never played
Well,
3.
there you go. See, it's like saying, "Oh, I don't know what chocolate tastes like, but this turd tastes okay, I guess." It's like, well, no, yeah, they look the same, but they're not. Let's be honest here, they're
Yeah.
not the same at all.
Well, I
I'm
did go
not
back and
hopeful
try
for
Fallout 3,
Starfield.
and I was like, "Ooh, this is rough." But it's because of
It,
the time difference and how outdated it was.
yeah,
It
there's a
definitely
lot
does not
to it,
hold up. Does not
but
hold
I
up.
felt like, yeah, it doesn't hold up. There's a lot of games that don't. Whereas
Hmm.
New Vegas, for example, it does hold up,
Hmm.
but it's not made by the main creators. It's made by another studio.
Obsidian
So
Games.
honestly, for me, I'm more worried about Starfield flopping, and I would put it in an A tier right now, a soft A tier, because it has so much potential to be a great game.
Hmm.
But the studio that's making it has only disappointed recently for a lot of people. I'm waiting for Starfield to really be like, whoa, we got this base building mechanism, and that's where we put 90% of the development.
Right.
So
What's your
I'm
thoughts,
worried
Josh? You
that
got
that's
anything
what we're
for
gonna get.
us?
Um, I am a fan of Bethesda's other works, namely the Elder Scrolls franchise. So the Starfield IP looks pretty new and it looks pretty different. And I like sci-fi. I wish there were more sci-fi games out there.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know too much about the game's actual gameplay at this stage, so I'm just hoping for the best for it, you know.
Right. Yeah, neither do we. Like, they released like one trailer, announced the release date, and that's about it.
Yeah, like Skyrim is like Elder Scrolls is like the fantasy. Fallout is like post-apocalyptic. Now here's a new sci-fi property that you could get interested in. So
yeah, I'm super excited for it, and that's why I'm gonna keep it like obviously not high S tier. I'm gonna keep it at the bottom of S tier, just because I honestly personally believe that this is going to be one of the best games of the year. But Josh, what's the next game we're gonna play? Or
I think we're gonna play some Pokemon Legends Arceus.
Okay, and where would you like to drop this at first?
I would say good, probably A tier.
A tier?
Yeah, at least A tier.
Ahead of Gotham Knights or behind Gotham Knights?
I'm gonna say behind.
I agree. I agree, and I think there's so much uncertainty with this new type of Pokemon game being like the open world, like truly open world. Like we just don't know, and I'm just worried about it being so open that there's no content in the world for you to really enjoy, and just have this vast open area to run around and do nothing in. You know what I mean? So, what's your thoughts on this, Roger?
So Pokemon Legends Arceus actually looks pretty good to me compared to Sword and Shield. I'm kind of excited for the idea that it's Dark Souls but Pokemon. It feels like that. Where you're actually fighting the Pokemon, weirdly enough. I want it. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it seems interesting. I'd like to see it. I don't think I'll be buying it myself. And I don't think I would put the time into it right now, but it seems interesting. Honestly, I've not been disappointed by Pokemon offshoot games recently.
Right.
Honestly, I feel as though the offshoots are better than the main games anymore.
Yeah, and I think it might be time for mix it up.
Go ahead.
I feel like this is what Pokemon should have always been. Like, if they have the resources to create Pokemon for the first time now, this is what Pokemon would be. You'd actually be, because there's a lot of dynamics between humans and Pokemon that just aren't really explored in the main games. So,
yeah, well, what do you do when a Pokemon actually whoops your fucking ass? You know, like when a Pokemon comes up to you.
I want to get zapped by Pikachu. So.
Yeah. And not to mention the fact that the fights themselves take place on the map. It's not like you're like a black screen, then you come in, you're like dun dun. And it's like no, they're on the actual world. You're watching them fight, and other Pokemon are nearby. Like, I'm not getting involved. I'm just gonna walk over there.
Right, there are turn-based sections. There are still the original turn-based.
That's
sections.
when you summon your Pokemon, though.
Yeah.
That's when you bring out a Pokemon in the real world. Like, it's not like it cutscenes you.
Right, you could throw the Pokeball right there. It's right there.
Pokemon right there on the ground. And they may not be scale 1-to-1 for full scaling. Because, Wailord's huge as fuck, and I don't think they want to add that. But, like, the fact that the Pokemon are going to be a little more scaled will feel better, I think.
Yeah, and like Pokemon are creatures that you want to be scared of, but like in an awe sort of way. You want to feel awe for the massive scale and the just everything that Pokemon can do.
And the fact that they're going to clap your fucking ass.
Yeah, that too. So.
Yeah, I'm super excited for this because this one actually is coming out later this month.
Yes.
Let me get the actual release date here for y'all. It is January 28th, so we got about 12 days for this one to come out. So that's one of the first like big games that are coming out this year. I'm really excited. And Starfield comes out November 11th, 2022. So 11/11/22. Ironically, that was the same release date for the original Skyrim, 11/11/11, or I forget what significance it was with that. But let's go into another game here. Let's talk about Stalker 2.
I'm going to give it a soft A tier. This is a reboot of a series that is going to be interesting. I honestly am more excited to see this than I am Gran Turismo or anything else in B, C, or D. This game I feel as though has a lot of potential. It's going to come at the end of the year, so we're going to see it after the Game Awards. So, like after the Game Awards closes out and they can't vote anymore in the Game Awards. So
Right.
this is a next year game to me at this point. I think we need to start looking at the fact that some of these games, when they come out in December, they are the next year's games. Our games go from December until November the next year. So for me, I I'm hopeful that this is going to be a good game because I like games like this, these sort of post-apocalyptic Russian settings.
Hmm.
So I'm excited.
Yeah, because this plays similar to the Metro
Yeah,
franchise,
exactly what I was going to
basically.
say.
So it's like a survival Russian post-apocalyptic. Like there's some paranormal shit. Like you don't know what the hell's going on, and it's just a bunch of mystery and suspense. So I'm really looking forward to it. Is this a game that piques your interest at all, Josh?
I'm not sure. It just makes me think of Fallout and Call of Duty.
More or less. More or less, yeah. Definitely check it out. There's
Yeah.
some gameplay and stuff like that out already, so this is definitely something that you guys can check out. Um, but Josh, who's next? Is it you, Roger, picking the next one?
Don't matter. All right, so let's be honest here. I know we're all excited for this one. God of War Ragnarok. All right, this is going to be hard A plus tier, like S tier game. After God of War, I'm hopeful that this game should take the Game Award. This is this year's Game Award. We don't know what's coming out, but I hope it's before November because I want it to win this year. I want it to blow everything out of the water. I want this game to make my PS5 melt.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully not because that was a pain in the ass to
Well,
get.
I don't want to buy a new PS5 or anything,
Another
but
one.
I want it to push my console to its fucking limits, and I want it to be gorgeous. I want every second of this game to feel amazing. I want to cry like I did at the end of God of War. I want to feel this game, for days. I just want to talk about this after I beat it.
No, yeah, for sure. And I haven't played the other God of War we talked about aforementioned. But I really want to play it before this one comes out. So I got hopefully a few months before this one comes out that I can play through and beat
Mhm.
the reboot, I guess, of God of War. Because it's one of the best games of the PS4. So I'm really excited for Ragnarok. I think this could easily steal game of the year by far.
It just has to continue on the same path that God of War did. That's all I gotta say is if it plays anything like God of War, but on next gen, it wins. It already takes game of the year because it is just such a well written game.
Hmm. Josh, have you played any of the God of Wars even back in the day?
No, I've only ever seen gameplay footage of the God of War series, so
Hmm.
I don't have much of an opinion on it at this time.
No,
But
not a problem.
it does look like it would be set to be a game of the year just because of the graphics and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And speaking of PlayStation exclusives, we got to talk about Forza, or not Forza, Jesus, Horizon Forbidden West here. Could easily steal Game of the Year as well. Horizon Zero Dawn was a phenomenal game, beautiful game that won many, many awards. But it's going to go up against a big competition here. And the way it's already looking, this game already looks phenomenal. They're adding new mechanics to the game that looks like it's enhancing your experience. And they're expanding on the lore by adding the virtual reality game and other games in the future. So it's like they're investing a lot of time, a lot of money, and a lot of resources into this franchise. And this is one of PlayStation staples. And I'm really their first game was the reason why I got my PS4. Just to put it out there. So I'm really excited for this one. Have either of you guys played the first one or excited for this one, the second one?
So I didn't care for the first one that much. It just at a while after a while, like, I want to be able to complete the things that are around me as I go. I want to do a lot of the stuff. I want to go around and hit all these different objectives, but it's like I would rather do the objectives or the random shit in Ghost of Tsushima than I would in this. It just
Mm-hmm.
the Horizon for me got boring really fast because it felt like some of the enemies became sponges rather than, actual challenges. It felt like sponginess was the difficulty mechanic, and I don't like when games are like, instead of making things actually more difficult, they just give things more health.
Right. But I don't think you stumbled upon like each monster had a specific weakness, so therefore
It did. It did.
so therefore they
And
were
and
never
I've dealt with
spongy.
that.
Yeah. I feel like they weren't ever really spongy. Like I feel like once you establish what they were truly weak against, you kill them in a heartbeat, no matter what part of the game it was or which monster it
Hmm.
was. Like obviously, like the colossal ones were meant to feel more more than the other ones, but there was still a way to kill them pretty quick.
Oh yeah, it didn't feel enjoyable at times. And honestly, I'm still gonna give it another shot again. I think I'll probably wait right before the new one releases, and I'll give it another go, and I'll put it up against the competition of that year. I try to rate the games based off things that have come before it and the things to that point, but never anything that came after it. And honestly, to me, it didn't hold my attention. There were other games instead that did.
Right, because for Horizon Zero Dawn came out in 17, and
Hmm.
God of War came out in 18, and I can't remember what game of the year 2017. I can't remember who won that one. Oh yeah, Breath of the Wild. So obviously there was a reason why it couldn't win that one.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. Going up against Breath of the Wild, it had no chance. Honestly, Breath of the Wild to me was an amazing game, and it was one of those games that like it was bigger. It was a bigger world, and I would much rather have spent my time exploring it
Hmm.
than I would have explored Horizon. Horizon had harder hitting, faster hardware, but Breath of the Wild played on two different consoles and still didn't feel held back.
Hmm. No, yeah, for sure. Let's see here. What are we gonna talk about next, y'all? Which I want to go to next?
Sonic.
Sonic.
Sonic, yeah. All right, this for me is gonna be high A tier. I'd put it above Gotham Knights because I'm hopeful. I want it to be good. I want it to be another Mario Odyssey game. At this point, if Nintendo is like, we use the Mario Odyssey engine to re-release every one of our core games, Metroid, Mario, Sonic, and everything, like Kirby, I'm in. I'm sold. You have my attention because Mario Odyssey was an amazing game.
Yeah.
And I don't know, did it win Game of the Year that year? I don't know. But it it was such a hard-hitting game for me that I'm interested to see,
No,
where we
Odyssey came out in
where
17 as
yeah,
well.
yeah,
So
2017. So it played against Breath of the Wild, and I honestly I want to see Sonic succeed because all we've had is garbage Sonic games for years. And to get a open world Sonic game that played like classic ones, but also had that hint of like the modern Odyssey Breath of the Wild feel,
yeah,
it's gonna be awesome.
I didn't realize 2017 was a very packed year. Like Breath of
Oh
the
yeah.
Wild, Resident Evil 7, Horizon Zero Dawn, Near Automata, Mario Odyssey, Wolfenstein: The New Colossus, Cuphead, Prey, Destiny 2, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. There was a lot of fucking great games that came out in 2017. So that was a tough
PUBG
year.
came out that year,
Right.
That we saw the birth of
Battle Royale.
really.
That we
Yeah.
know it, how we know it now.
Yeah. So I'm excited. Uh, and with so little information, I'm gonna leave it at a high A tier because they haven't ruined it yet. They just gave us a taste.
Right. They basically showed us a one-to-one trailer from when Breath of the Wild was released with Sonic.
Yeah,
It basically was identical.
yeah. And honestly, if it plays even similarly, I'm gonna be fine because Mario Odyssey played great.
For me, I'm just hoping it follows from the legacy that the Sonic Adventure games had for me.
Mhm.
So those
Yeah,
are the
Sonic
last,
Adventure were amazing.
yeah, Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2.
All right.
So
Let's
All
move
right.
on here.
Let's talk about Ghostwire. All right.
That's what I was
So
thinking about.
Ghostwire is a game that we've had on the books for a while now. And Ghostwire Tokyo to me, I'm not a horror person, but like shit, dude, I'm ready to scare myself pissless. This looks good. And not only that, this is horror from the Japanese perspective. And honestly, reading Japanese horror is fucking scary, dude. Like it's scarier than other things. It's like, you know, no-faced people walking around and just ripping your fucking face off and wearing it instead. And it's like, cool, I guess,
How about
like,
slit mouth woman?
yeah, exactly. Yes, yes. And like, to me, I'm excited to see this game because there is so much in Japanese horror that is spooky, and I love the Japanese horror in general. So I'm excited to be scared in first person.
Right. And this is being made by Bethesda Software Studios, Tango Gameworks, who made Evil Within 1 and Evil Within 2. Also, two very gruesome, creepy, scary fucking games. Like, they have the studio, they have the genre. Like, this game looks beautiful already from the content that we have seen, but this is
The only
definitely.
thing that's going to hold it back is the engine.
Yeah, pretty much. But,
It's
like,
a Bethesda engine, so
but even Evil Within's engine ran pretty good. I forget what game engine that they use. Evil. Let's see here. Game engine. No, they use the ID Tech 5 engine, which is actually regarded as one of the best engines because
mhm.
that's the one that made like and Doom
Yeah,
Eternal and stuff like that. So that's actually
yeah.
one of
So
the
I'm
industry leading engines that people are trying to copy
yeah.
and want to
So
use.
so if that's the case, then I'm hopeful that this is going to be an amazing game. So um talking earlier, we mentioned GTA, right?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Let's talk about, unfortunately, let's talk about the competitor finally making a comeback. So where do you
Saints
guys want to put
Row.
Saints Row? Like for me, I'm hopeful Saints Row is in an S tier game. I'm feeling it's going to be A, but I want to put it in S.
Yeah, I think we leave it in A, and I think this could be one of those games that exceeds our expectations if it's done properly.
Yeah.
Saints Row has always been known to be like a GTA clone, but do things in a different way where they're wacky, they're crazy, they're just it's like a really crazy game.
What about my 4 foot long penetrator, the dildo sword? Okay, like honestly, it was just so much fun, and it made fun of GTA, but did it in such a way that was awesome and enjoyable. And for me, I'm excited to see this game. I want to see this game succeed because this game pushes GTA into a corner and says, "Hey, put your money where your mouth is and stop buying companies like Zynga."
Yeah, that's one way
So,
to put it. And Saints Row is scheduled for the release of August 23rd, 2022. So we got a few months before that drops. Ghostwire Tokyo does not have a release date yet; just says 2022. But yeah, I think I'm really excited for Saints Row. I was reading the Game Informer about it, and they actually care about this game, and they're trying to pull what was successful in their first 4 games that they released, but the first 3 were
mhm.
probably their most successful. So they're trying to find out what worked in those and how can we make that better. So they really
Yeah.
care. They're passionate developers, and I'm really excited for this game. And because I'm ready for something different, I'm tired of GTA. I'm tired of hearing about GTA, and we're only going to hear about it more with their recent acquisition of Zynga. But it's time for Saints Row, man. It's time for Saints Row to return because it has been a little bit since we had a Saints Row game. Because when was Saints Row 4 released?
2014, 2012, somewhere in there, I bet.
2013, yes.
Yeah.
August 20th of
So,
I really
2013.
enjoyed the second game. I just thought it was so wacky and silly. And then
yeah.
it just got wackier and wackier as it went on. So I
And
really liked that about Saints Row.
Yeah,
no,
so
I'm with you. So I think another game here, I'll take this one, is Triangle Strategy. I know this isn't a game that interests either of you right now, but for me, I'm gonna put this game at a soft A for me. Like this game has been, this is made by Square Enix, so these are the same people who made Final Fantasy Tactics and such. And this is to me as a competitor for things like Fire Emblem. And for me, I'm excited about this game. I want this game to succeed. I want this game to be S tier, but I don't think it will be. I think it's going to be an A tier. Or it's going to be a high B, low A tier right now. And honestly, it's really going to have to live and die on its mechanics and the way the game plays and how your choices actually influence the game, because everyone says you can make choices that influence the game, but like in the end of the day, it doesn't matter what your choice was. Steve, the whatever, dies, and you're like, well, I could have done 100 things, but you still killed one of my favorite characters. So I'm interested to see how much they really say your choices matter.
Right.
Um,
And this game's actually coming from the developers who made Project Octopath Traveler, which is honestly one of a really great game from the what was that was it on the Switch? I think it was the Switch.
Hmm.
And I know it's one of those games that I hear talked about a lot on other gaming podcasts as well. So I know it's a renowned game. So it's only eager to see what their next project is going to be. No pun
Yeah, and
intended.
it mixes that depth of realistic colors and palettes with 2D sprites. You know, we're looking at 2D sprites, paper. It's meant to look like paper on real life, and I'm excited to see the colors, the palettes. Everything looks beautiful, and the game looks great. And I know some of our community really likes these games. I'm just worried that this game is gonna flop, and that's why I want to put it at low A, because I want to be surprised. I don't want to be disappointed,
Right.
but I don't think it's gonna be S tier because it's not gonna hold a candle to God of War, Elden Ring, Kirby, Ghostwire. You know, this is gonna compete with things like Sonic, you know, Gotham Knights and Saints Row. It's gonna compete with
Mm,
these games that have a chance but may not be perfect.
right. And Josh, I know you had something to say about this. What was going across your
yeah,
mind?
I was gonna say, I know a lot of people who like certain aspects of Fire Emblem in particular, such as the shipping, the relationships you can develop with your character, or between characters. I would like to know if this game has that, because if it does, then it could be a potential competitor to Fire
Fire
Emblem
Emblem.
in
Yeah.
those communities.
Hmm.
So,
Honestly, it's weeb bait is what it is, you know. As long as you can attract the weebs, the game community will come.
yeah,
That's definitely
there'll
one way to
always
place
be
it.
a market for that, though.
Yeah.
But
All right.
moving on here, let's talk about a B game that I think is a solid B game, and I'm gonna talk about Outlast here. Outlast Trials has been one of those like smaller horror games that people have heard about and know about, but it's never been taken to the top. It felt like graphically it wasn't there, but the gameplay was there, or like the story was there, but the controls weren't. And I remember playing one of the first couple of them, and I was just like, "Holy shit, this is scary as fuck." So like this game has a lot of potential, but it could be another flop because they've had, I think this is like their fourth game or fifth game, and not all of them have succeeded. So they've had their ups and downs, and I think this is one of those games that's going to sit on that wire. Like it could do good, but it could do really bad. Does this
Yeah.
game stand out to you guys at all in any kind of way?
So for the Outlast games, I'm not super into, but what I'm excited about this one is this is a game I know we'll play, you and me, will beat because it is a up to 4 player co-op game. So it's a survival horror game for up to 4 people. And I don't know if the other ones were the same way, but I'm excited for something like this because I like horror games where you have to work with your friends to get out. You know, honestly, I think that's cooler to me because while maybe somebody's doing one thing, another person has to actually progress the story to get everyone else out. So I'm hopeful, but I think with them saying we're going to make a game that is co-op, they're reinventing the wheel. So now, not only are they going to have to deal with the fact that the wheel has been reinvented, but they also have to live up to their previous games while also surpassing them.
Right, Josh, are you into scary games at all, or not too much?
I'm more attracted to like RPG Maker horror games.
Okay,
So
so you're
I'm
more
not
along the
sure.
like Ghostwire Tokyo would be more up your alley as opposed to say
Yeah,
Outlast, which is more like a
Ghostwire
survival.
Tokyo, games made outside the United States overall that are horror games. So yeah,
Right. Yeah,
but
for
this
sure.
game does look spooky though. So
Yeah, let's move on to another B tier game, Dune. Um, Spice Wars. This game kind of came out of left field. I guess it's kind of riding the hype that the recent movie had. But this is a 4X strategy game that's coming out this year, and I'm not sure. There's not really.
Honestly,
It could be one of
it
those really
has a
great games,
chance. It
right?
has a chance to be an amazing game. It has a chance to surpass things like Endless Space and some of these other 4X strategy games. It honestly feels a lot like the Endless series in their 4X, but it's got to compete with people like Civilization. You've got to do it right without doing it, the pacing has to be right with it not being real, where we're looking at science fiction instead of historical fiction.
Hmm.
You get a lot more freedom to do what you want. Like Humankind, for example, the game itself, I got to the space age in the year 1700 because the game is just so imbalanced it feels. Whereas like Endless Space, the game, you can just break the game with building your own races. Oh, same with Stellaris. It it has a lot of games in the 4X strategy it has to compete with, and I know people like Josh here loves 4X games. He's a fan of Stellaris, and this game is gonna have to live up to Stellaris, in all honesty.
Right.
That's true. Definitely true for me. I don't see what makes this game particularly interesting compared to a game like Stellaris, where I can just be a lot more creative with what I can do, making my own races and stuff, and modding the game. So it just has a lot to live up to in that field for me.
Right, and I think what's going to have a lot to do with its success is just riding off the name Dune, their success
Yeah,
from the movie that's coming out, Part Two coming out in next year or 2 years. So it's just like they're trying to ride that
and
name. They're trying to make more content around that universe because Dune's
yeah,
been out since what the 70s. So it's not like a new thing. So they're just trying to build up and reinvent Dune is what they're trying
but
to do.
and the other thing to keep in mind is this isn't going to be space faring. Uh this is going to be on the planet itself, and it's going to kind of more deal with things that aren't related to the movie, like post movie.
Hmm.
So that's the rough part.
Yeah,
We're
it's
looking
very
at
curious.
trying to ride the hype of the movie, but also being based on post movie events or pre movie events. I'm not 100% sure, but the idea is you're going to be fighting over the planet. Well, the last time the planet's been fought over is before and after the movie, but not during the movie. So, how
Right.
do you ride a hype wave that is just based in the same universe? But I guess
Yeah,
we'll see.
for sure. All right, let's move on to another hype game for the year.
Teenage
Bayonetta.
Mutant Ninja Turtles. All right,
Oh,
let's go with that one.
okay, not
Teenage
Bayonetta
Mutant
three.
Ninja Turtles. All right, this is gonna be high A tier. This for me,
Not the
if
best game
this
ever.
is done right, this is going to be a throwback game that I want it to be better than. I want it to be better than Sonic. I want it to be better than Saints Row. I want it to be a game that I can sit down and I love playing. The it but we know it's not going to be. So let's actually put it where it goes. It's going to be a high B tier game, okay? In all honesty, the game isn't going to compete with some of these other games because it is a genre that is kind of lost its interest over the years. We when we see these style of games, we really see them as like off games. Like we talked about them earlier in the podcast when we had mentioned River City Girls. This is, a genre that time has forgotten, really. It's an
Right.
arcade genre.
Right.
It's something you get with Games with Gold, not a AAA studio or a AA studio. This is Games with Gold.
Right.
Not indie tier, but like just like a shitty studio that's like, we need to stay alive. Here we are.
Right.
I'm hoping this game is good. I'm
Right.
hoping it lives up to the memory that Chuck E. Cheese has in my heart,
That
but
was
I
what
don't
I was
feel
about
as
to
though it
say.
will.
Yeah, because me and you have so much nostalgia playing the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game at Chuck E. Cheese, spending our entire day playing that, wasting all of our coins playing that, and we enjoyed it so much. And I remember just going there every single time. That's the only game we would play most of the time.
Yeah,
And it's just like there's a lot of nostalgia. I mean, it's one of the biggest franchises from cartoons growing up. So like we're in a nostalgia wave right now. So they're trying to come up. They're trying to come out with new games. It's gonna be one of those fun games. It's gonna be like Battletoads. Battletoads, the recent one, 2020, I think it was fun. It was a nostalgia game. Battletoads is a really old franchise, a side scroller beat 'em up game. That's what we're getting here. But let's go to Bayonetta 3 as I was trying to get to. I think this could potentially be an S tier game. This is one of the most highly anticipated games that pretty much all of gaming has been waiting for to come out forever now at this point. And Bayonetta 1 and 2 were pretty good games. Are you really excited for this, Roger? I know you are. You talk about it all the time with me.
I like I'm excited for I like Bayonetta. I like the way Bayonetta plays. I like the fighting aspects of Bayonetta. I think it's going to be a high A tier game. I don't think it's going to be S tier. I think it's Bayonetta has always been that series that, like, for me, they went from Bayonetta 1 to 2 and they kind of reinvented the formula, and they were like, maybe this will work, and they changed the formula, and I didn't care for it as much.
Right.
I honestly hope that Bayonetta 3 kind of returns to Bayonetta 1. I want it to be, more true to what made Bayonetta a good game. I don't think it's going to compete with things like Elden Ring for combat and free world fighting, but I think it's going to be fun, enjoyable, and it's actually going to be that niche that people who play fighting games, or sort of not rhythm game. I don't want to call it a rhythm game, but in a sense, a cause and effect game. Attacking, defending, blocking, countering, and stuff like that. That sort of niche that people like.
Right. Josh, I know you're a big Switch player. Is this going to be a game you pick up for your Switch?
Probably not, to be honest. And see, I can't. Every time I think of Bayonetta, it's like Halo. I can't look past the fact that it was acquired by another company, and I don't trust Nintendo, to really do this justice like for the first Bayonetta. So that's just a very me thing, though. So
well, I think the thing to keep in mind is I believe Bayonetta 3 is actually made by a different studio. I believe no, okay. Yeah, so I apologize. Bayonetta 1 was made by
Sega.
Sega. Yeah, there it is. So Sega was involved in the first one, and then Platinum Games left them and just did it on their own. So I see where the issue is with Bayonetta 2 and with Platinum Games making Bayonetta 3. I agree with you, Josh. I don't know. But Platinum Games did make Nier Automata, and I enjoyed Nier Automata, but I'm not saying Nier Automata is a good game. I'm saying it was okay.
Right. Yeah, there's definitely a lot at stake here. Whether this game could be a really great game for the Switch, or this could be a flop.
The end of Bayonetta.
Right. So there's a lot riding on this. There's a lot of anticipation. That's why we're going to put it at a high A tier, because of the anticipation for this game. It's very, very high. But Josh, what's another game you want to talk about here that we got left here? Any of these stand out to you?
I see what looks like Legend of Zelda on the list.
Yes, sir. It is this one right here. I just had to grab one. There's not really a graphic for Breath of the Wild 2, or that's not even the official name for it. It's the sequel to Breath of the Wild. So I just grabbed a Zelda generic card here, but arguably can go right to S tier. I don't think that's to argue against what the panel here could agree
I
with.
don't dispute.
Roger, what do you think?
There's a lot riding on this game. So we've seen. I'll be honest. For Nintendo, it's not gonna make or break Legend of Zelda. No way. This game could completely bomb, and Legend of Zelda will come out the other side completely unscathed. We've had many games that Legend of Zelda have released that have completely bombed, and they come out on the other side like nothing happened. It's like cool guys look at explosions. They blow shit up and they don't look back. For me, Breath of the Wild 2 is them saying, okay, we have Breath of the Wild, but hear me out, okay? Breath of the Wild 2. All right? We're going to ride that. We're going to ride that. And so to me, it feels like if we get Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time to Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, for some, people hated Majora's Mask. I personally liked it, and I know a lot of my friends did, but for some, they didn't care for it because it wasn't the same game. It reinvented it remade the entire way to play the game because now you have a new mechanic. I'm hoping that whatever they add or change about Breath of the Wild 2 doesn't make the game different, but better. I hope it actually improves because if the game doesn't improve, then it doesn't give it extra points and it doesn't make it a contender. So I'm hoping that with Breath of the Wild 2, we're looking at an S tier game.
Right.
I hope they don't mess with the formula, and I hope that honestly it continues the story in a meaningful and impactful way.
These bottom two games on S tier, Starfield and Zelda, there's a lot riding on both of these games. Where if these big time developers don't deliver, could easily very much flop and be really bad for the studios, I think.
Mhm.
So definitely wait and see. I've actually never played Breath of the Wild. I have missed out. I have it, just bought it. It was on sale for one time sale. Bought it, so I've been playing my Switch a lot lately. So I'm trying to. I'll definitely get that into my backlog for this year. But moving on here to another title. Let's do a little bit. Let's do another indie title game here, Somerville. Um, I'm really excited for this one as an indie title game because there's a lot of mystery behind it, and I just don't know what this is. It's dark, it's creepy, it's just a lot going on with the little trailers that we keep getting, and it's just like, what the fuck? Like this game could be easily one of the best indie games that we could get in a long time, or it could just be a flop. These guys, it's being made by another studio. I did not mean to click on that. My bad, y'all. Um, who helped make like Inside and what was the other one? Man, I'm drawing a blank on those games. You know what I'm talking about? The dark, creepy looking games. But nonetheless, this
Nah,
game looks
yeah.
really good.
So for me, this game is made by a studio that
It's being made
hasn't
developer by
made.
Jump Ship, and they're known
Yeah,
for like Limbo and Inside, which
yeah.
are indie developed
So
games.
yeah, as it being an indie game, it's interesting. I'm interested to see where we go with it, but it's not a game I probably will end up playing. I don't think it's going to be one of those indie games that like blows the bank. It's not going to win game of the year. It's not, uh it's not It Takes Two, you know.
No, but I mean, I feel like it could be like a Death Store. Like even though Death Store was
Maybe.
talking for Game of the Year at some point, but this game is there. This is going to be one of the bigger indie developed games that we get this year.
I feel like this is going to be something similar to like 12 minutes. You
Hmm.
know, we're going to get an indie game that is it's interesting, but it's not going to be like everyone's like this is the game. Everyone loves it. It's going to be, oh, that was cool. I liked it. I won't play it again. It's not something that I'm going to go tell my friends to play. So I'm interested, but I don't think I'd put it anywhere higher than a B tier.
Hmm.
Honestly, it's lower to me than Ninja Turtles.
Fair enough.
But that's, we can only wait and see. I think we should rapid fire a few of them here. Some games that are, low on the list. Metal Slug Tactics. This thing to me feels kind of like Advanced Wars. It's going to be, I believe, top down. It's going to be Metal Slug, but with that Advanced Wars feels. I think because what we're looking at here, this is going to be probably a high C tier game. I don't think it's going to be great, but it has potential to be better than Dune. It has potential to be better than Pokemon. It could be a great game, but because it's Metal Slug and it's a tactics game, it's not a wide variety game. I think it honestly deserves to be somewhere in C tier. The next one I saw you put is which is
Weird West.
Weird West. So Weird West is a game that we really
It came
hasn't
out of
really been
nowhere.
talked about.
Right.
Yeah, it hasn't been talked about
We
much.
we just
It's
saw it recently at the Game Awards and the one show before that we watched. It's being made by Devolver Digital and Unreal Engine. So it's an action role playing game, shooter, simulation, adventure, like indie title. So there's a lot going on, and the art style looked cool. It kind of looked like a Red Dead kind of game. and it
It
just it
it
looked like a
honestly
lot of
looks
fun.
like Borderlands with the way some of the color schemes go, the character
Yeah.
designs. They've got that dark palettes that are
The
they're
isometric
kind of
look.
cartoonish dark palettes. And it has potential, but it has to go up against some of these other games that, are 5 years old, 6 years old. Some like Wasteland 3, for example. It's gonna have to go up against Wasteland 3. And honestly, I don't know how well it's gonna do because it's going to have the humor, I think, to make it a wide variety appeal game, but it's going to also have to be something, it's going to have to be good. But with the style of playing the game, I don't think it's anything higher than a C tier. I don't think it's D tier. I don't think it's, a game that we're going to sleep on, but I don't think it's going to be good. Another one you put there, Slime Rancher 2. Slime Rancher 2 is a game that's a sequel to this small indie game that kind of came and went, and Steam like showed it for like 2 or 3 weeks and then it never got talked about again. I honestly think Slime Rancher is probably a low C tier. Another one here, Star Wars. I'm gonna fight you and say that this is gonna be a B tier game, low B, high C. It's not even gonna touch A because I think at this point the Lego Star Wars games are so played out. They are so played out and they are unfun at this point to me because they're just the same thing we've been doing.
Right. And I'm
There's
arguing
been
why
so many of those games at
right.
this point.
And I'm arguing for this one because this is the Skywalker Saga. So this includes episodes 1 through 9. I get to play through all the movies in one game and from the Lego perspective. So from a Star Wars fan, this is great. I get to enjoy the entire thing with some added, what they do in Lego games, the comedy, some minor touches, the goofy shit that happens. And I actually enjoy playing Lego games. I don't like you guys clearly
Yeah.
obviously don't. So that's why I'm ranking it high. There's so much anticipation for this game. It kept getting delayed, not figuring out when it's going to release, but 2022 is the year it comes out. It looks good. It's probably the best looking Lego game, and the amount of
Well, it
content
better be the best looking
right.
Lego game
And
because it's the newest.
right, and the amount of content that you're getting for this game, and just Star Wars is just right now doing really phenomenal. Other than the movies, obviously, don't even get me started on that. But I'm really excited for this, and I think it's way more exciting than anything else that's in A tier. But I don't think it's on that S tier level, obviously.
Honestly, I don't even think it deserves to be an A tier, but that's the industry
How
and
about
you
we
can
put
leave
it?
it there
Let's put it there, like halfway.
at the end of A tier, sure. But
Let's go with halfway
honestly,
through.
I don't think it has value. Next thing in here, let's grab Tunic. All right, let's be a little more optimistic here. Let's say Tunic. Tunic is going to be, I think, low S tier. This is a game we've seen for a while. It looks very good. It is essentially supposed to be a spiritual successor to like the classic original Legend of Zelda game. But with a fox, so a lovable protagonist. And it's supposed to be a fun palette color scheme. I think honestly, this game, with it being what it is, I think it's going to be similar to Death's Door. I think this is this year's Death's Door.
It's
Thoughts?
supposed to come out
This
in March
game is
2022.
Yeah.
I agree.
So it wins in my book.
That's one way to put it. No, yeah, but it's supposed to come out in March of 2022. It's being developed for Microsoft Windows, Series X and S, and Xbox One as a timed exclusive. So my guess is this will probably come to Game Pass more than likely. So this will be a game that has easy accessibility to pick it up without wasting any money. But excuse me, if it's anything to go by, like you're saying, like a soft reboot or kind of idea in regards
Spiritual
to
successor.
to Zelda, it's a no-brainer. This is going to be
Yeah.
a really fun game because, like, when we were watching the recent trailer, I was like, this shit kind of gives me like Death's Door kind of vibe, like the
Yeah.
art style, the play style, the gameplay. And I was just like, this is going to be a game that I play. There's
Yeah,
no doubt.
same. I definitely am going to go out of my way to play this. And I think another game that I'm going to go out of my way to play is Suicide Squad. I think this game this year is going to be, this is a huge game for me. I think it's going to be one of the ones we play during co-op. I think it offers a lot. I'm worried. I'm worried because it's DC. You can't not be worried. This is the second Warner Brothers DC whatever game we're gonna get this year it's a risky pick. It's gonna be a risky click, honestly. If you pay for it and it's bad,
You missed out.
people are gonna tell you, well, what did you expect? And if it's good, it's going to come out of nowhere and people are going to be like, whoa, this is amazing. What I like, though, is this is based off of the Suicide Squad that we get now in the movies and the TV show, not the Suicide Squad that we saw while we were in college.
Right, yeah, for sure. This is pretty cool too because I like it's Suicide Squad kill the Justice League. So now you're playing the quote unquote villains as good guys now because the Justice League got taken over by like mind controlled by I forget who the bad guy is in the game. So it's just like you're trying to take them down, take control of them, make sure that they're not doing some stupid shit. So it makes sense, and it looks like a lot of fun. The I don't even think we've seen any true gameplay of it, but the gameplay
No, we did.
trailer
We
that
saw
we
true
got,
gameplay.
the gameplay trailer we did see reminds me of like the movement style from like Sunset Overdrive and Spider-Man, where like there's constant moving around, jumping around, and just being very chaotic. And it's a co-op.
And I believe that, yeah, with it being co-op, it's going to be a huge game, I think, for honestly, for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm really excited for it. Another game here that I'm really excited for that has really high hopes is Crossfire X. I'm going to give this an A tier because I'm talking about the campaign here in regards to this because the multiplayer is already out. Campaigns being made by Remedy Games. Control won Game of the Year in 2019. Quantum Break, Alan Wake, like they're known for a lot of phenomenal games, some cult classics, like some top hitting games. Crossfire X is going to be their first take on like a first person shooter perspective. So it changes the meta up. So I'm really eager to see how they can implement their storytelling into a shooter game, and I'm really excited for this one.
With no story already, so
Right? Yeah.
it's a brand new world to work with. I think another one we should talk about here, a shooter game, is Arc Raiders. This is a game we've gotten very little about, other than it seems like it's just going to be one of those co-op games that really doesn't have a story and is just like, our mechanics are everything. So with a game that has no story and it's all about gameplay, the gameplay didn't look good so far. It just looked like you're fighting a big open field, and I don't know. I'm kind of worried. This game, to me, I wouldn't even put it in B tier. This looks like a C tier game. Like we don't have enough information, and what information we do doesn't look like a game that I want to spend my time on. I don't want to play, but it's free,
It's a free-to-play game, so
maybe I'll play it. You
right.
know,
That's the
I'll
benefit
give it a
of
go
this.
once. I'll try anything once if it's free.
Yeah, and this was
You
coming
know,
to Series X and S, Windows, and PS5. So this is a next-gen exclusive game being made by Embark Studios, which is like a new studio. So there is definitely some questions behind it. It's our first free-to-play cooperative third-person shooter, where it says where you and your squad's raiders unite to resist the onslaught of Ark. So there's a
yeah.
lot of mystery. There's not enough information to go off of. I do agree. C tier for now. This could be a game that goes, holy shit! Like we
This
truly
is awesome.
we put this
Yeah,
game way
we
too low.
slept on it. We slept on it because they didn't want to give us information and it came out of nowhere. Another game here that I know will bring Josh into the conversation is Dynasty Warriors Empires. This is now, I think, the 9th game in the series for Dynasty Warriors. Is this something
Wow.
that you're interested in by chance, Josh?
Well, it's Dynasty Warriors, so the art is always lovable. The characters, there's tons of characters to play. It's still pretty much the same story from game to game, but I like the graphics upgrades that each game has gotten to the franchise.
I just worry that the
So,
mechanics always step backwards. For me, this
yeah,
is a game that
that is a
it's part of
worry.
a series that hasn't died and refuses to. No, don't get me wrong. Sometimes the newer ones are fun and they're enjoyable. But like Dynasty Warriors is one of those games where I've always felt that I can literally just put my character into the battle and I win. You could send 1,000 people at me and I can't be stopped.
Yeah.
So like, what is the point sometimes? So
Right.
I don't know. I'm optimistic that it would be fun, but I think it's also going to be a C tier game. What about you? Where would you put it?
But wait a minute, there's a character creator, it seems.
Well,
So,
there's always a character creator.
well, nowadays there is, yeah.
Well, in
So,
Dynasty Warriors Empires, there's always been a character creator.
yeah, that's true. You're right.
And you can always just take over an area you want or join
Yeah.
somebody, but like
Mm-hmm. I'm
uh,
gonna have to say a solid, low B,
low B.
probably. Yeah.
That's kind of what I was
RPG.
feeling too.
Yeah,
Like I would put it at the end of B tier in my opinion.
but Dynasty Warriors has always been like a cult classic too.
Right.
Not a huge community surrounding that game, so that I'm
It's a
aware
Koei
of.
game. You know, it's
Anyways,
Koei Electronics. It's W Force. It's the same people who
yeah,
made the entire Dynasty Samurai Warriors as well as Dragon Crest Warriors, I believe. There was the Fire Emblem Warriors game, I think. There's
yeah,
every Nintendo game that has a Warriors game or a one of the games that's built like them. They build games for everyone's genre, and it's just the same copy pasted, it feels
yeah.
like.
Mhm.
Except for the fact that maybe like I was playing today Age of Calamity, Legend of Zelda Age of Calamity, which is the Legend of Zelda's Warrior game, and I liked it. I'm optimistic that W Force isn't letting their game get stale, and Koei and W Force are going to make a good game. So I'm hoping, optimistic, probably won't play it
Yeah,
unless it's cheap.
yeah,
Right. Um.
All
yeah.
right,
Cheap is always a win for a lot of games.
so Yoshi, are you a man who likes Borderlands?
I played all of the Borderlands. I think 1, 2, 3, the pre-sequel. Well, except the Telltale
Yeah.
Borderlands.
Well,
I just watched
honestly,
that.
Telltale isn't that exciting to most people anyway. But are
But
you a man who's excited for Tiny Tina's Dungeons and Dragons Wonderland?
I thought that was the coolest parts of which game was it? Borderlands 2?
Two, I
don't
think.
remember. Yeah. That was one of the highlights of Borderlands 2 in my opinion.
And now to make it a whole game,
To make it a whole
color me
game,
excited. I'm excited. Honestly, I
it's
think
interesting.
it takes all the feels of playing Dungeons and Dragons and paints it with Borderland. I'm ready. I'm hopeful and optimistic that the game isn't going to be a giant wash and that it's actually going to be better than Borderlands 3.
Yeah.
So I would probably put it at a low A tier. What do you think, Roger?
That's where I'm putting it. I'm optimistic. I'm thinking it's going to maybe be better than Bayonetta 3. But honestly, I'm hoping that, the rest of the stuff in A tier that I've got on my list is going to be better.
Here's hoping.
Here's to hoping. Now, some of the other games we've got here. Next week we'll see Rainbow Six Extraction. Next week, right? Or is it this week? I can't remember anymore.
This week.
This week. This week is Rainbow Six Extraction. I lose track of time. I'm gonna give this game a low A tier. This game is low A for me because it is a game that it's gonna be free. It's gonna be time based, so if you lose a character, it takes time before you can play that character again. It feels almost chore-esque in some of its things, so I'm hoping that it's a game that I can binge for 6 hours if I want, or 3 hours, and it's gonna be good. But looking back, we had things like Rainbow Six Siege. It took a year, 2 years till it became a good game.
Right.
And then at that point, the community is gone.
Yeah. I'm just
So,
hoping there's enough content here, and this shouldn't have just been an expansion to Siege or something like
Yeah.
that. So like, there's 12 maps or something like that to play through or whatever. So there's content there. I just hope the support's there. Like Siege gets new characters, new maps, new reworks, new modes, whatever, all the time. Like they've been supporting it for like 6 years now. So it's like I hope they get the same kind of work and benefits into this game as well.
Yeah. So another game is on the list here, Redfall. It's a game that really we haven't talked much about. It's essentially looks like a or a vampire fighting game. I honestly, it just looks like a Back for Blood clone, and I'm optimistic that it'll be fun. But I think this is going to be a B tier game. It's not going to be something like there's going to be problems, there's going to be balancing issues. It's going to have glitches. It's going to be on the same tier I think as Back for Blood or worse. And I think Back for Blood was low A. It's not a great game. It's not a bad game. It's not an okay game. It's a good game, but it had a lot of issues.
And this is where I'll argue why it's going to be an A game and probably push the limits for an S tier, is it's being made by Arcane Studios. people
Hmm.
don't know, they have made Dishonored 1 and 2, and they also recently helped made Deathloop. So they have a lot of great games that they have recently made, and they also helped make Prey, the soft reboot of that too. So it's just like they have a lot of great quality games, and this is a new IP, so it's something different. So there, I can see where the uncertainty is and how it could be similar to other games. But I think Redfall might be something special that we get, and it's an exclusive to Xbox. It's coming to Game Pass, so it's not like you're going to be wasting any money on this game. This game's going to be free if you have Game Pass, so it's going to be one of those games that I think that could hit really well. But I don't think it's a B tier, because looking at the games in B tier, I think it's way better than any B tier game that's there. And there's some A games that are on there that I think it's going to be better regardless of how well it does.
Fair enough. So, I think another one we should talk about here real quick is Uncharted. They're re-releasing the whole collection. I think this is a C tier game. I think it's not what we want. It's just a remaster. Who needs that right now? We've got so many remasters. Honestly, if you've never played Uncharted, it's going to be better than Arc Raiders, in my opinion, because it's a great game. Uncharted's fun, but the fact that we've already have these collections, why are we getting them again?
You're getting a remastered.
Yeah, okay, blow me. I don't really want to
Right, so
remaster,
it's
you
like I
know?
don't need it.
So, yeah. So, I think another one here, let's talk about Destroy All Humans 2. I think this game has the potential to be A tier. I think this is the lowest A tier we have, because this is a reboot of a series we haven't had in a while.
Hmm.
But to reboot the series,
Well, it's not a reboot; it's a remaster
it's
of two.
a remaster. Yeah. So Destroy All Humans 2 is a great game, and maybe it will result in a third one. And honestly, I think it might be a lot more fun than Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. If it's a remaster, it may not be, but if it's a remake, it may be. Because if they're just upping the graphics, it might be all right. But if they actually change things around or fix up some stuff, I don't know.
I actually
I
didn't
like
remember
Destroy
that
All Humans.
there was a Destroy All Humans 3. Never even knew it came out.
Oh,
Uh,
I didn't even know there was a
Path,
Destroy All
yeah,
Humans 3.
Destroy All Humans 3, Path of Furon came out on the 360 in 2008.
Okay, so there. It's been so long since we've had, Destroy All Humans, and honestly, I guess honestly I'd put Destroy All Humans a lot lower. Let's put it at the end of B tier for now, in my opinion. It's it's the second one, not the third one. Maybe we'll see a reboot of the series, but it it's one of those games that it was fun in my opinion because it was a sandbox game. The ability to destroy the world without, you know, buildings were destructible.
Right.
That's something that I loved, the ability to blow shit up, but many games missed out on that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so rattle off a couple of this. So we got Destiny 2, The Witch Queen. This will probably just
I'm
be
gonna put it
low A, high B.
I'd
Um,
put it like in the middle of B, yeah. I think honestly it's gonna be around the same tier as Outlast. It's gonna
mhm.
probably be lower than Pokemon Arceus in my opinion. It's
Yeah. Destiny's
um
Destiny at this rate. They're dealing with a lot of issues right now, but hopefully this is their time where new content
maybe
works for
this
things.
this
So
is this reboot will be like the King or whatever, the Shadow, or
who
I
knows?
can't even
They're,
remember which one
they're,
it is, but it
there's
was it
the
was a
Shadow King.
soft reboot that actually reinvigorated the community,
Yeah.
one of their DLCs, and maybe this is it. And with it being free, I believe, right?
Hmm.
If you have, yeah, no, Destiny 2 is free. So with it being free, what do you have to lose if you like to play
Well,
Dennis? If you liked Destiny?
I think you have to play or you have to buy the DLC. Like the base game is
Okay.
free, any DLC is
Yeah.
extra. But then like if you have Game Pass, I think it's free. So like there's
Yeah.
ways around
So
it.
So, let's talk about some games that are really not big right now. We have Sifu. This is a game that is coming out this year, but really not talked about. Honestly, this game just looks like a fight 'em up game. I'm optimistic that it's going to be good because I like these style of games, but I'm worried because I don't know anything about it. So, with there being so many games, how do we make a purchase that we know nothing about? I'm going to give it a B tier. Honestly, I don't know where it belongs right now because I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, there's a bunch of gameplay and content out there. Just doesn't get a lot of media attention for some reason, but this game looks really good, and it is a beat 'em up action adventure game that comes out February 8th, so it's right around the corner too, less than a month away. Being made by Slow Clap developer on the Unreal Engine. So it's a single player game. So it's a story driven game. So hopefully it's something that turns out to be really well. But I think B tier, that it's only up from there. I think.
Yeah. How about you, Josh? Is there any other games you see left on the list that are still interesting?
Maybe Dying Light.
Dying Light 2?
Yep.
Where would you put it?
To be honest, I don't know because I've never played Dying Light 1. So.
Have you seen Dying Light at least?
But yeah, I've seen Dying Light, and based just on the imagery alone for the game, I'd probably say about between B and A tier.
Okay. I'd put it at B tier as well right now. I'd say it'd be A tier if it fixes the issue of the first game. I think the biggest issue we're dealing with, and it's something we've talked about before, is game length doesn't equate to a good game. Right. And that's something that Dying Light 2 is trying to do. They're like, oh, the game has 100 hours of content.
500.
I don't want 500 hours. I apologize. 500 hours of content. And who wants 500 hours of content? So I think we're dealing with the idea that, we don't need to make a good game. We need to make a long game. And I think that's an issue that this game may suffer from if it doesn't fix the stuff of the first game. Another one, Anachronous, that comes out last week, I think it was, for early access. So we're not even getting the full release this year. They have no plan. Like, we haven't gotten plans for the full release yet. So I'm worried because, like, we've already got Back 4 Blood. It's a full game. It's ready to play. Anachronous isn't. I'm going to give this Anacrusis, sorry. So I'm going to put Anacrusis. So I'm going to put this like low B. Honestly, I think it looks good, but it's early access. This is like not an indie game being early access. So another one here is going to be Forspoken. This game I'm going to put in A tier. This game looks good. This game could be game of the year. It just really, we're looking at an action game, an action combat game, an action adventure. It has to have good combat. It is standing against From Software. To come out on the same year as a From Software game, you've got to be ready to nut up or shut up. Right. This game has a lot of competition from Software. So I'm interested. It looks amazing. The story looks good. It's a more traditional story versus a From Software game. So if the combat's on par with From Software and the story's better and the audio design is great, this could be game of the year.
No, yeah, for sure. It's a PS5 exclusive coming out in May. Like you said, there's a lot going into this game, so it's gonna be one of those wait and see games. It could end up in S tier by the end of the year, or it'll just stay in a solid A. Or if it flops, we know where that goes.
Yeah. So we've got Plague Tale. Plague Tale's coming out this year. The first one was an excellent game, and I think the second one, it could be a really good game. I think this is going to be an A tier game. Honestly, it's a game that didn't get talked about much, in my opinion. Like, I found the Plague Tale first game by accident, not because I heard about it. And then people were like, "Oh, they're making a sequel," and I was like, "Oh, people know about that game?" Because it didn't feel like a big game.
Yeah, it has a dark story, and it's just one of those story-driven games that Xbox has. Because this is an Xbox, I think it's an Xbox exclusive, if I'm not mistaken. Requiem is coming to Game Pass day one, so check it out.
Mm-hmm.
Comes out this year.
Yeah, and so another game here that I want to talk about that I know Josh would probably be interested in is Warhammer 3 is coming out. Total War Warhammer 3. Are you a fan of Total War games?
I am a fan of Total War games. I enjoy Total War games. I haven't played a lot of them, but the ones I've played, I've generally enjoyed. So, Total War Warhammer is always a good-looking game to me. Mm-hmm. So, Total War Warhammer 3, I'm hoping this will be an exciting upper B tier game.
I'm hoping it's going to be an A tier. I want to put it in A tier because I've always liked them. But the issue I have with Total War Warhammer is they kind of miss the mark sometimes with the gameplay itself. seems to lack. Like they're like, oh, we've got the graphics, we've got all this stuff. I'm worried that the factions they chose for Total War Warhammer 3 is not gonna entice some players, because people like me, I have certain factions I like, and if they're not in the game, do I really want to play it?
Right. Yeah, I think a
So,
solid B
Yeah.
game right around the Dying Light. See if you.
but with it being in Game Pass, that's the kicker.
Mhm.
For me not having to pay for the game, the game being on Game Pass, I think that's what's going to make this game A to S tier. Is if the game is amazing and I don't have to pay $1 for it, awesome. Because I paid $60 for every Total War game that I played to this point. That's
Yeah, I can agree with
4 months
that.
of game. That's 4 months of Game Pass right there to just buy a single game. And if I can play it for free, damn, yeah, sure.
It's a
I'm
win.
already paying for Game Pass.
Right. Next up here, we got Ollie Ollie World. It's like a skateboarding game of some sorts. Kind of a weird art style. Probably in a C tier. I don't think it's going to be that big of a game. Nothing much to it. So moving on here. Got Hogwarts Legacy. I think this is one of the really highly anticipated games because one, we don't really know too much about. Just
B
got recently.
tier.
It's definitely a B tier game, and I think it's going to be a higher B tier game, right around this area. Just because of like the potential with this game. This could be the Harry Potter game that we've wanted since Harry Potter came out all those years ago, and I think this could really be a fun game. I remember playing the first Harry Potter game on the PS1, and I really enjoyed going through the castle and doing all the shit, the magical shit that happened in that game. So like now we have a game on the P5, the Series X, PC, high quality, high fidelity, and you basically create your own student to go to this castle and be in this world. That's gonna be really cool.
Yeah, I agree. It's an interesting concept, but it's Harry Potter, so you have to you have to realize that the source material is what's carrying the game.
Yeah,
So, can the game stand up alone as its own game
right.
without being, oh, it's Harry Potter? So,
Speaking
next
of that,
game here,
Lord of the Rings Golem. This
yeah,
game has so much mystery behind it. We have no idea other
C
than
tier. Honestly, this to me feels like another one of those games that it's a Lord of the Rings game like Shadows of Mordor.
hey no.
It has, for a lot of people, Shadows of Mordor, because it's not a game that is it's not lore wise, it's not a lore, it's not true to the lore. That, to a lot of people, they care about that.
Right, yeah.
So to play a game like Shadows of Mordor, which had this great, awesome ability to have these randomly spawning enemies, that it built the generals, and as the generals died, you cleared out the group of them, and when you died, then it replaced them with new people with new abilities.
It's
So it was
the
a unique
Nemesis,
playthrough every time.
the Nemesis system.
Yeah, so with the Nemesis system, now we're dealing with a game that it doesn't have the Nemesis system. So it's going to have to rely on its own to carry itself, and
Right. I
it
mean,
just feels like another stealth game.
right. I mean, you play as Golem, so obviously it got to be some sorts of stealth because I couldn't imagine him being in full-fledged combat just based off of
Yeah.
like, his character.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
gonna be very interesting to see how this game bees. Like that this turns out to be like this could be one of those games that goes from a C up to an A tier really quick, depending on how well it plays out. But this could be a major flop because there hasn't really been a lot of successful Lord of the Ring games. I mean, Shadow of Mordor was really good, really fucking good as a game. Like not related to lore, like as a game wise, really phenomenal. But their follow up with it, like Shadow of War, was pretty garbage. So it was just like they had
Yeah.
a really high game, then they had a really low game. So you don't know what you're going to get here with Lord of the Rings Golem, but anticipation's there. We'll wait and see on that one.
Yeah.
Another one I'm really excited for that there's also not a lot of shit content related to is Scorn. I'm gonna rate Scorn right with Somerville because this game has a lot going for it just because of how gruesome and creepy and beautiful this game looks. It's really hard to even use those words in there. It's a survival
It
horror
feels
game.
like Doom. It feels like a kind of Doom game, but in the AVP world. So I'm excited.
Right,
It
and
it feels like I'm fighting the Flood from Halo.
well, if people don't know that this game looks a lot like the movies Alien or Prometheus, and it'd be why. It's the artist and the designer who made all of those characters from those movies is helping making this game. So his art style is going to be in this. So that's going to be really pretty cool to see his drawings come to life in a game. And I'm really excited. This is coming to Xbox, so this will probably be on Game Pass. I'm super excited for this game.
This game looks so freaky cool.
Yeah, I'm like, I have no idea about it, but it just looks cool. So we'll have to wait and see. Another game on here is Replaced. I have no idea about this game. I don't know what to think of it.
Yeah, it's an indie game. I put it on this because this is one of those indie games that was announced that really caught my eye. It is a 2.5D sci-fi retro futuristic action platformer. It's a lot there. It combines like cinematic platformer with pixel art with free flow action combat. So it kind of has this like dystopian story that's set in an alternative 1980s timeline. So it has a lot going for it as well. Come in the Series X and S and Windows and Xbox One. It's another Xbox exclusive game, and of course, come in the Game Pass. So what's there to lose? The art style is what really gets me. As Roger, you know, and our community knows, I'm big on graphics, how it looks, the art style. That's what draws me in. And then if the gameplay and mechanics is there, that's going to take it to the next level, and me thoroughly want to enjoy this game. So this game has a lot of potential. Again, this is going to go right in this Somerville, Scorn area. Like these indie games have a lot of potential to go right to A tier, but they could flop or just stay right where they are. They could be a B tier game.
Yeah, no, exactly. Because like we've looked at indie games before and been like, oh, we're hopeful this could be a great game, and then we get things like Ascent,
which looked fucking great. It had the graphics. It looked phenomenal, but it just didn't play well, which we're gonna play and finish up hopefully next week. But this one here, I don't. You guys probably can't even tell what game this is. This is called Stray. I'm gonna throw this into C tier. It is, I believe, another indie developed game, but you basically play as like a cat, and it's really interesting.
I honestly, watching the previews for it, I'm excited. I would have put this high B personally. I want this to be good. I want this to be a game that I want to play, but I honestly don't feel it's going to be that. I think it's going to be bad. So
let's put it right with these indie games that could be great.
Yeah.
I think that's perfect. Because Stray is an upcoming adventure game developed by Blue 12 Studios, and it's being published by Annapurna. So Annapurna Interactive releases a lot of great games, like indie developed games that have come out. So I'm really excited for this one. Just it's different, and I love the art style. It has like the cyberpunk look to it with the neon lights, and it's bright and vibrant. So it looks really good. It's just different. You're playing as a fucking cat, a stray cat. Like that's where it gets its title from.
Well, and that's not the only thing. Humanity's gone, so it's animals and robots.
Right.
And so you play as a cat because there are no humans.
So it's going to be a very, very interesting game.
This should be hot.
And then this one here I want to talk about is A Stranger of Paradise. It's the Final Fantasy origin. So this, based off the title, I don't really know much about it, but is this where Final Fantasy comes from? Is this going to be where it all began?
I don't know. Honestly, I know nothing about it.
Curious. Yeah, because they announced this at E3, I think it was, 2021. And it's just, I don't really play Final Fantasy games, but I know you guys do. That's why I wasn't sure if you guys really knew about this game. So it's good that we brought it on here. It's an upcoming action role-playing game developed by Koei Tecmo Games and Team Ninja. And it's being published by Square Enix. So obviously it should be a pretty solid game. Not really much to go on, really. I'm trying to see here what the premise is. It's set. Oh yeah, I do remember what this one. So this is going to take Final Fantasy games and give it its Dark Souls treatment, Souls-like.
Yeah.
So it's going to be really difficult. It's going to be really challenging. It's going to be one of those games that tests your limits. You're going to die a lot. So
yeah, honestly, if it's anything like Final Fantasy 14 or Final Fantasy 15, you can keep the game. All right, I don't want it.
So where would you?
But
put
I
this
like Final Fantasy kind of just branching out like that, though. You know.
I do like that they're trying something new, and I'll give it a B tier. You know, I'll put it above Dying Light, but they're coming out in the same year as a From Software.
Right.
So for you to bring out a game that's supposed to compete with From Software in the same year that From Software releases their new cornerstone game, you're fucked. you really have to put in a lot of effort, and I think to make a Souls-like game, when a Souls-like game comes out by the maker of Souls games, you got another thing coming. So
I
Lost
feel like
Signal here.
Yeah, it's called.
Oh, go ahead, Josh.
Go ahead,
I
Josh.
was just gonna say, you'd have to wait a few years after that game has been released to really have a chance to.
Even give it
Yeah.
one. Release it the year before or after, but not the same year. If you're gonna release a game that's like, we're capitalizing on the Souls-like genre,
Yeah.
then maybe you should have prepared the game to stand up to one when they're releasing theirs.
Right.
But sometimes
But then again,
that's bad timing, though. You know.
Elden Ring was also delayed, so
Right.
that also did it. So the next one here I saw you grab was the Lost Signal.
Yeah, it's Oxenfree 2, Lost Signal.
Yep.
One of the best indie developed games I have ever played was the first one. So I'm really, really looking forward to this game. Unfortunately, this is going to be coming out the gates as like a PS5 and Nintendo Switch exclusive, and I think coming to PC eventually. So it's not coming to Xbox right away. Kind of the same kind of deal that the first one had, but I played the original on Xbox, and I'm really looking forward to it. This one takes 6 years after the first game, and it's just like one of those like narrative adventures. Like you got to travel around, solve things, and just it's a really dark story, and I'm just really eager to see where they take it next. So that if you never played the first one, go play the first one. The second one will only before it comes out. You're going to be really excited for the second one because of how good the first one was.
Yeah. So we got another game here that is going to be a AAA title, Midnight Suns, I think is what it is.
Yeah, Marvel's Midnight Suns.
Yeah. So Marvel's Midnight Suns to me is going to be one of those games that could be really good or really bad, but you know, we've dealt with other games like it, and I'm hoping that we're going to get a good game, but
No, yeah.
what are
for
your
sure.
thoughts?
I'm hoping
I
that
see X-Men.
it.
Go ahead, Vic.
No, I was just gonna say I hope it follows the path of what the success of Guardians of the Galaxy has done, as obviously compared to Marvel's Avengers has done.
Yeah.
But this explores a different, obviously era in the comic books with the whole Midnight Suns. So I'm really eager. This one is supposed to come out in March of this year. It, excuse me. It's a tactical role playing game developed by Furix Games in collaboration with Marvel Games. So like they got some good quality content here coming from 2K Games. So I'm excited to say the least. I just don't know what to expect from it because I'm not too familiar with tactical RPG games.
Honestly, this is just another game like well, it's not a tactical RPG to be honest. It's more or less a turn-based strategy game.
Well, that's what they're calling it. It's a tactical
It,
RPG.
it's an RPG because you're playing as a character, but you're really not. You're not playing. I'm not Doctor Strange. I just have Doctor Strange in my roster. So it's one of those things. It's the same thing as like XCOM is what it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
It's an XCOM successor essentially. So for them to make a game like XCOM, you've got to stand up to the games that have come before you. I'm hoping that this game is going to be nothing like XCOM where I have a 98% chance to hit. My gun is in my opponent's face and my guy goes miss.
Right. Yeah.
You
Yeah, I
know.
definitely agree. So there's a lot of curiosity with this game, but just riding the whole Marvel success right now, I think it could do
Yeah.
really well. Obviously better, I think, right now than DC games. But look at that.
It
In A tier, we have Suicide Squad, Gotham Knights, and I'm putting Midnight Suns in there. That's three superhero games competitors that are going up against. I mean, they're different genres, obviously, but it's pretty cool to see that.
Honestly, I think the biggest issue is it's like the Harry Potter syndrome for me. It's riding on a title and it's like, well, I need gameplay.
Right.
Like the past few Marvel games, only a few of them been good. So,
I mean, all the Spider-Man
But
games.
I've never seen a superhero tactical strategy game before.
yeah,
So it's something
it's true.
new.
It's true. It's a whole new genre for them to follow with this mythos. So, I'm excited, but if it's not free, I'm not going to go buy it.
Fair enough.
Does
Let's
that
move.
count Game Pass and stuff?
Game
Yeah.
Pass is free. That's what I mean. If
And
I
Games
can't
with
get
Gold?
it, yeah, if I don't get it from a provider as a part of a subscription, I'm not going to go out of my way to buy it because there are other games I would rather play.
Right. Next up here, we got Nightingale. This one kind of came out of like left field. I don't even know where to put it. It's like one of those new sandbox survival games like Valheim
Yeah.
in a way. So we don't really know
I want to
too
put this in A
much.
tier. I want to put this in A tier for now. I think I'm optimistic that it's going to be an A tier game, but I don't think it's going to be S tier. And
Hmm.
I think we're going to deal with the same syndrome that we do with Valheim right now. It's a great game, but there's not enough content. And I
Right.
think that's the problem we're going to run into for the first year because this is an early access game. What does it stand up against, you know?
Yeah. And speaking of
It,
survival games, though, the other one that I got here is the Callisto Protocol. Is
mhm.
a upcoming third-person survival horror game coming out this year. Uh, Apparently, it's in the PUBG universe of some sorts. Don't know how. So I'm very curious to see how this is made. This is a new developer called Striking Distance Studios. It's founded by Glenn Schofield, which was previously the co-creator of Dead Space and also had his ties in with Call of Duty. So like the talent that he's going to have is going to be there, but whether they execute and actually deliver a very solid quality game is left to be seen because it's a new studio. So first game, maybe B tier, low A tier.
Maybe B tier. It looks good. But maybe, we're just gonna end up another walking simulator game or just like a game that's like, oh, it's horror, so it has to be good.
Yeah,
I'll scare you and then you'll love it.
right.
So
A game that we got last year on the list is Avatar's Frontiers of Pandora. I think it's called. Not much really information. I just know it's a game set in the obviously the Avatar universe, and it's supposed to be coming out this year. I'm trying to get some more information in regards to it. It's an upcoming open world action adventure game, so like they can do a lot with this, but it's being made by Ubisoft, so hopefully it doesn't get that very terrible Ubisoft treatment.
we're gonna put
So
it at C tier, okay? It's C tier only
high high
because
C
it's
tier.
Ubisoft. At this point we are dealing with a Ubisoft, so I don't know what to make of it.
Right. Fair enough. But yeah, man, that's our tier list excitement. I'm really excited to revisit this at the end of the year and compare it to where the game stacked up over the whole 365. Um, yeah, I'm very very excited. Josh, you have any last comments on any of these upcoming games that you're excited for?
Excitement. I mean,
You
I'm
know,
really
you
looking forward to a lot of them. Even though I might not be able to play them right away. You know,
mhm.
Kirby, Sonic, Saints Row, all these different games, Dynasty Warriors, Total War. It's a lot to look forward to.
Right.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm excited for Kirby probably most of all right now. Elden Ring, I'm just worried because it looks almost too open world for me. I feel as though that could become a problem because all the Souls games have been open world, but
Mm,
they've always been structured. Like you have to go, there's only 3 exits to each zone, or 4 exits, 5 exits. You have to go find the exits. You have to go get an item here. Then you can unlock this exit. And it allows you to traverse to all these different zones. But I think the issue for me is the fact that this looks like truly open world. You've got a mount, you're flying all around the map. It's just it feels like we're losing what I like about the Souls games. So I'm worried, but
mhm.
maybe it'll be great.
Yeah, for sure. All right, man. I think it's time to close out this week's episode. So let me switch back over to a better view here. So yeah, definitely want to thank everybody who did sit with us for over 2 hours here for a long, great, action-packed episode, and who does check us out later on YouTube. We definitely greatly appreciate it. If you want to check these episodes out live, it's every Sunday at 7 p.m. But Josh, where can we find you at, man?
You can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/lunatic Yoshi. Lunatic _ Yoshi. You can find me on Xbox with the gamer tag YoshiDude360. That's I think that's kind of hard to spell, so maybe Vic can put it in the description on YouTube or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that.
gotcha.
Good luck. And finally, you can find me on Twitter at Yoshi underscore. I'm sorry. Real underscore Yoshi underscore D00D. Real Yoshi dude. So.
That's awesome.
Alrighty,
Man.
well, thanks for coming on and joining us this week. It's been nice to have another guest other than us two talking all the time.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, Roger, where can we find you at?
Everyone knows where to find me at, but if you don't know, it's twitch.tv lunatic underscore oblivion, seen above.
Of course. And of course, everybody check me out at Twitter at MrNeverChillin underscore. Xbox is XNeverSpaceChillin. You want a game, party up, hit me up there. Questions, concerns, or want to come on a show, hit me up on Facebook, Vic Brubacher. And of course, I'm streaming right here on this channel. Most of the time, we're trying to grow and become an affiliate, but I definitely want to give Yoshi here a shout out for coming on the show. You were a great guest, and we'd love to have you on again, man. This is your second episode, and I'm looking forward to future collaborations with you.
Cool.
But definitely want to thank everyone again. But until next time, peace.